As politics pose the biggest challenge to vaccine makers during the pandemic.
Albert Bourla says mask wearing, vaccine efficacy, or questions about delivering the vaccines were all politicized and were constant obstacles for vaccine makers. He added that protectionism as a result of fear meant the governments closed down borders, making it difficult to export vaccines or bring in raw materials needed to make them. Former British Prime Minister Tony Blair says for most countries the virus had receded into the rearview mirror and that the only way to keep the focus on it was to convince politicians that there, quote, are votes in it. Jeremy House reporting.
Florida's Governor Ron DeSantis is proposing a ban on all COVID mandates, and that would include vaccines as well as masks. Calls his proposal Prescribe Freedom. More on these stories at townhall.com.
What in the wide world of sports is going on here?
I promise you, whatever scum did this, not one man in this force will rest for 1 minute until he's behind bars. Now let's grab a bite to eat. Yeah, come on.
I feel the hot wind on my shoulder and the touch of a world that is older. I hit the switch and check the number. I leave it on and then I slumber. I hear the rhythm ringing through it. Flamenco guitar and cumbia music. I hear the talking of the DJ. The travel listen, what does he say? I'm on a Mexican radio. I'm on a Mexican radio.
Broadcasting live from high atop the J.P. White Building in downtown Roswell, New Mexico. It's Mornings with Mike Winters on 106.5 Roswell's Talk FM.
Is that what I sound like when I talk?
Now, here's your host, Mike Winters.
And good morning, one and all. Welcome to Mornings with Mike Winters. I am he. That would be me, Mike Winters. Happy Thursday, everybody. It's like yesterday, but less windy.
Well, yeah. Diet Wednesday.
There you go. Yeah, actually, I joke, but I not joke because I look at the weather, and today's weather is exactly the same as yesterday, but less wind.
Yeah,
it's
and
57.
Honestly, the wind was the worst. Yesterday was the cold part. Yesterday
Although
was
that
quite
wind's
nice.
a little. This morning coming in, that there's enough little breeze there to cut you.
Yeah, it's pretty sharp.
Yeah.
You know, the worst part, and we haven't actually experienced it, and we probably won't today, is when you're coming off around this building and you walk into the alley, and it's just that wind tunnel. Right when it hits you, it just it just takes all your breath.
Last couple days,
Selfish wind.
when I come back to the office with my vehicle, the way the wind's been blowing, it hits my coat and it opens up that one side, and I can't flop it back. You're like, you should button it. Yeah, I should, but that would be thinking. I don't do that. But last 2 days I've been walking up this alley trying to fight that flatback over on my coat.
It's funny. One of my favorite fashions from a bygone era that I've tried several times to bring back is t-shirt under button-down shirt open.
Oh yeah.
The open button
kind
down.
It was Circa
Chandler
Friends.
Bing. Yeah,
Circa Friends.
Right,
is what I was thinking.
Right. It's a very 90s look. It's right up there with the butt cut. But it's one of those looks that I've always kind of really liked and wanted to bring back. Although, if you're in even like a 5-mile-an-hour wind, even the slight breeze, that shirt's flapping open, and you're just fighting Mother Nature trying to shut it back.
Going on, yeah.
Right.
Well, and to be honest, I think the open shirt thing's never gone away. I think the length of the outer shirt has.
They stopped.
in the 90s, they were bigger and longer, like way longer. Now they're more cut to the person instead of baggy.
The problem that I'm running into, at least, and maybe it's just because I don't know where to shop, is they stopped putting out button-down shirts for the specific purpose of wearing open over a t-shirt.
Yeah.
There, for a minute, they were putting out shirts that were button downs, but specifically sold to wear open. I had a shirt, and it was not a Hawaiian shirt, but it was in that ilk, and it had wooden buttons, and it was designed to be worn open, or at least that's how I always wore it. And Yeah, it was
it like a Panama Jack style?
Kind of. Yeah, it was Panama Jack in that ilk.
Gotcha.
It was the. I'm trying to remember the.
And those you're supposed to
off-white kind of like.
And those are
with the
designed
stripes.
actually to either, like you said, or wear untucked.
Right.
Buttoned but untucked. Mm-hmm. So, and then of course now they got a whole line of untucked.
The
shirts.
untuck it.
Yeah. Which I don't know. I think they're just shorter shirts, aren't they?
Yeah, pretty much.
Which many of us fellas have a Dunlap issue.
Yeah.
When you get them shirts too short.
That's I was in as a slightly taller man. I was introduced to the shirt size XLT.
Yes.
So now my shirts come in 2XLT.
I never have to use those.
Yeah. Well, if you need a nice sleep shirt.
If you're 5'8", you don't need the T.
Sometimes you just want some, a shirt to come down to the knees.
If I want to feel like a tiny dude, I just walk through the big and tall shop, and I'm like, I can't even get clothes here. I need XL or 2XL, and they laugh at you when you get into those.
Now,
in the big
in
and
fairness,
tall.
I was like a years old when I learned about a taller friend of mine than even I am, who, when he bathes, he uses something called a bath sheet.
A bath sheet?
Bath sheet.
Like a towel?
It's a towel, but it is an enormous towel.
Oh, yeah. I
I've
can get
never
that.
heard of the term bath sheet.
I've never have either.
But I looked it up, and it's a
I've
legit
heard of big
thing.
towels.
Yeah.
I didn't know they were called bath sheets.
Oh, I always thought beach towel was, the biggest you could get it, but
like the towels we have, they're not big as beach towels, but they're certainly bigger than normal towels.
sure.
So maybe they're bath sheets. I don't know. Like they're as tall as me.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Like when I unfold it and everything, it usually
That might be a bath sheet.
it could be.
Of course, it also could be a beach towel.
Well, and I'll tell you what. No, it's not beach towels. They're towels that years ago, like 4 years ago, my brother for Christmas bought my wife and I a $250 gift card to Bowl and Branch.
That's right, Bowl and Branch. I remember you telling me, yeah.
And we went and bought a towel set. This towel set we still use. And so I know it's not for the beach, but those towels are big.
Right.
And they're as tall as me. So I guess you call them bath sheet towels. Oh, I'm getting a text from the missus. Let's see. Yes, they are bath sheets.
Oh, okay, there you go.
There you
yeah,
go.
but I'd never heard that term until my friend was like, yeah, I ordered 3 bath sheets on Amazon. I was like, what's a bath sheet?
Yeah, well, apparently that's what I have.
That's what it is, yeah. Mm-hmm. So you learn something new every
I recommend them.
Yeah, it's nice to be fully engulfed or enwrapped in something, enrobed in something when you're my size. It doesn't happen very often,
I do it every morning.
It's like I was recently, not real recently, but like within the last year, picked up off the ground by someone.
Oh, yeah?
And it's I haven't had that happen to me since I was like young, like under 20. And it's like I haven't been picked up by a person, like I'm talking about like picked up over their head, like, lifted.
He picked you up like body slam
Like
style?
like a wrestler would have.
Okay.
Yeah, because it was one of my friend's kids. Wanted to show off to his friends, and they were like, yeah, I'll pick up Sean. And so, yeah, he did. I was like, it was pure joy.
Was it?
Yeah, it was terror a little bit, but
How did you put you down?
the same way.
Okay, he didn't
Yeah.
slam you or nothing.
No.
Or spin you around like an airplane and then throw you.
No, that would have been fun. Scoop slam. DDT. No, but no, it was just one of those things. Like I haven't experienced that in a long time. That was an interesting thing.
You know what Sean needs? The dad move. I don't know if my dad did this, and I know a lot of other dads did, and I'm sure maybe at some point when you were a kid, assuming there might be a few adults still doing this. Y'all think you, but usually this is a reserved dad kid.
Sure.
Is when dad lays on the floor, on his back, and he kind of haunches up, and the kid like lays on his legs, and then you pick him up like an airplane and use their arms and you airplane. That's something dads do with every kid, right? Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
I think you need that.
Oh, absolutely.
You know how they have like these stress rooms you can break stuff up? Maybe you need a hug room, and you go in there and you get hugs from dads,
There you go.
and they do the airplane game with you. And the whole thing.
Now you're just diving into ways to patch up my childhood. You're like, this is what Sean needs. Let's be honest.
I'm just saying, it sounds like you'd love this.
I'm kind of sold. I have no idea what got us on this topic, but I'm kind of sold.
And I feel like they feed you like chicken nuggets and mac and cheese, but it's like dino nuggets,
Right.
And it comes like in a little plastic plate with mini
Well, do you
silverware.
remember? See, do you remember Kid Cuisine?
Yes.
Those were the best, and they still have them. It's still the same thing. And you always get like an errant piece of corn in your brownie. I love Kid Cuisine.
I always liked that they had like wheel-shaped mac and cheese and all that. It was always different. But I think maybe you should, maybe someone could rate this and then, in our society, I think it'd make money.
A grown up soft room, essentially. Yeah, I like it. To be, flown around. There's people there to feed us with like airplanes, Yeah.
Maybe it's just like the place is called like "Come Meet Dad Again," something like that.
You get taught how to ride a bike, but like the right way without getting yelled at and bottles thrown at your head.
Yeah. Well, there's like there's like different experiences, like the model building experience. We all sit down and build like a little model airplane. Or
there's just the table experience where he just sits down and actually listens to you talk, listens to what you have to say.
We'll call it a have a catch room. And
have a catch room. I like it.
I'm thinking this is a great idea.
Have a catch station.
I like it. And then we finish off with airplane.
Yeah. Conversation started with open button-down shirts.
Something I didn't get to do yesterday, and
oh yeah,
I want to talk about that show.
Your interview's pretty short. We could talk about it.
Okay. We can devote a few minutes here.
Yeah.
So, for those that didn't notice, on what's today? Thursday? Tuesday night, NBC debuted a reboot of the television show Night Court.
Wow.
If you remember
the
Night Court show from the 90s there. Now, it's basically what they've done, and it's not a reboot like the other one didn't exist. This is kind of a sequel to Night Court.
So it's okay, so it's like in the Night Court universe.
Yes. So the premise of the show is, if you remember Harry Anderson, who was the judge on Night Court, of course he's no longer with us. He passed away.
Right.
Well, in the new Night Court, his daughter, who's played by actress Melissa Rauch, who is known best for as Bernadette from Big Bang Theory. That's her best known role.
Bernie. Now, here's a question. She doesn't sound like that, right?
No. She does not.
Okay.
She talks.
I mean,
she doesn't sound like, hi, how are you?
But I figured she was putting on a voice.
Yeah, it's not as high pitched. No,
right.
She talks.
That's got to be hard, knowing that she did that for that many years. You commit to a character, you're like, oh, I have to do that every time now, huh?
Well, and it evolved a little bit, that voice. If you see her, like her first episodes, she wasn't as squeaky like that. That kind of evolved. It's like Sheldon's quirks.
Right.
If you ever watched the first season of Sheldon of Big Bang Theory.
Oh, yeah, he's much more like a normal human being.
Like he doesn't do the knocking. The 3 knocks?
Oh, he doesn't?
He doesn't do that in the first,
really?
At least the first couple episodes of the season. He's not doing it. His character way evolved. I wouldn't say he's normal if you watch something first, but he's definitely not as quirky as he is seasons later.
Well, they're all three, like all 4 of them in the like original 2 episodes. They're like all nerds that are awkward but feel like they still have a chance with this chick.
Yeah.
Like on that same level. Then they sort of like break off and become their own personalities and characters.
Yeah. But I mean, if all the neurosis stuff Sheldon had, there's a few of those if you catch. I've caught where he's contradicted himself and things like that. But anyway, not talking about that.
Right.
So Melissa Rauch so she is the daughter of the Harry Anderson character from Night Court.
Gotcha.
He's passed in the show as well. She was a judge somewhere else, and she decided to come back, and there was an opportunity to serve in her dad's Night Court, the Night Court, and she wanted to do it, so she comes back. She's going back to the same courtroom. Her office was her dad's old office. A lot of they bust out like, oh, we found these boxes that had your dad's name on it up in the attic, and it's like the armadillo and some of the decor that you remember from his office are now put back in there. So she takes over the Night Court. They've got a lady that's a prosecutor. They got a bailiff is kind of you remember they had Marsha Warfield and Bull?
And Bull, yeah.
The character they have playing the bailiff is kind of a meld of those two, where she looks and acts a little like Marsha Warfield as far as that character, but she's kind of got that dumbness of Bull.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Right.
And anyway, so they combine that character, and then they have a defense, the public defender, but he's kind of anyway, he quits like the first 5 minutes of the show. And so John LaRoquette, who, if you remember, he was in the original as the prosecutor.
Right.
So he now works as a court, like a guy serving papers on people for court and all that.
Oh, okay.
And so
Processor.
he shows up in disguise, like working as a barista in the coffee shop downstairs, and he serves papers and all that. But anyway, she convinces him to come and serve as the public defender. And that's,
okay.
And so the first 2 episodes kind of deal with that relationship and John LaRoquette, where he's been, and you know, his relationship with the judge, and so. But it's filmed very
in that same ilk, like live studio audience.
I don't know if it's live studio. Maybe I didn't pay that close attention.
Okay.
But it's very much like, you know how they had, like, there was a theme to the story, but most of it was her dealing with the idiots that come through the court, and she resolves the case. It's that same structure to the show. So
now here's my question: Who is this for? Like, I feel like.
I was just thinking the other day that what if they rebooted this show? Because that would be the perfect show to reboot.
It's almost like if they rebooted Wings. It's like, I feel like now don't get me wrong, I love Night Court. At the time, I loved Night Court, but I was also a 8 to 10-year-old boy when Night Court was on.
yeah,
So I feel like this is really for specifically your generation.
probably a little bit more. Yeah.
I think if they're doing a Fuller House.
Yeah, Fuller House would be more for like my generation.
It might be for someone of
Now, here's my other question. Did the show feature the most important character from the original Night Court? The theme song.
yes.
Was it the same? Is it? That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's the most important part.
Yeah.
Like it's not remastered.
They may have touched a little bit, but yeah, it sounds like this. Yeah.
This is the most amazing part of the show.
Yeah, that's the song they use.
The sax.
Yeah, it's very reminiscent of the original Night Court. Just the characters are a little
Gonna
bit
have
different.
one season.
Maybe that's just it. My jury's
Well,
still
that's
out
the
whether
sad
it's going to
part.
succeed.
Hold on. Wait. Most important part. Okay. Sorry.
Needs more cowbell.
I thought it was a clap.
But if you liked the original Night Court, you're going to love it. I think it follows the same thing. If you hated it, then
I'm intrigued. You said it's NBC?
NBC.
Okay.
It's on
'Cause
Tuesday nights.
I imagine they'd own the rights to it.
I guess it was originally on NBC.
Because I
don't
feel like
remember.
this would be much more suited and played on a CBS.
Yeah.
Like that's the target demo of
Well,
a show like
I think
this.
NBC owns the property.
Right.
Probably what it is.
So maybe they're trying to age their demo up.
Because wasn't it part of Must See TV there
Yeah.
many moons ago?
One of the originals, yeah.
Yeah. But in my opinion, I the jury's still out, but I'm digging it. I will give it more shows.
The jury's still out.
That's what you do there.
You like my pun
Hey, it's almost like if I found out that they were randomly doing a reboot of Silk Stockings.
Yes. No, I want that for real.
You would, Roy. You would. And then I want Nikita.
I unironically like that show.
Yeah. Yeah.
Stephen J. Cannell.
Well, we'll see. I honestly don't know if it's going to make it or not. I kind of dig it, but I don't know. I have no idea what audience numbers it
Here's
pulls.
the thing. Okay, I'm a massive fan of the show Scrubs. If I found out that they were doing a reboot of Scrubs and had one or two of the ancillary, I would hate that.
Yeah.
That would upset. That would get under my skin because it was perfect. Okay, not talking about the 9th season. Forget that season. That happened. That was a gas leak.
Yeah.
At the 8th season finale, that ended a perfect run of a perfect show. To do anything other than that would be to taint the legacy thereof. So I feel like this show has a lot on its shoulders because it runs the risk of tainting the original, like tainting Night Court.
Sure. And I would agree with you, but I don't think they did on this one.
Is it called Night Court Havana Nights, or is it called?
I think it's just called Night Court.
Night Court.
It's called Night Court. It's literally the same thing, except for it's like the 7th season with the new evolution of the story. That's
Further question.
Whatever the next season was.
Is this a thing? Is that a thing? Night Court?
I'm thinking cities probably.
Like, I've never heard of a Night Court before. I mean, I know
like
the
New
show,
York City and all. Like, I
maybe.
think the show takes place in New York City. Don't
Yeah.
quote me on that, but
because I
think your Chicago's and New York, DC. I didn't live in DC proper, so I don't know. But
Maybe that's why the show is so funny.
I've always been told justice is blind and holds office hours.
yeah, well, I think but like Night Court's like traffic court or whatever. It's minor stuff. It's not. But yes,
I want to go find it. I want to go see a Night Court. Be like, oh, this is what that is. Okay.
Well, and that's kind of the premise of the joke. It's all the degenerates and everything else is Night Court. Even the workers don't care because they're on overnights.
Right.
You know, they're just getting a paycheck. That's all they care about. So. We do need to get the interview going.
I want to say R.I.P. Harry Dean Anderson.
Rest in power.
All right, it is 7:24. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and then we're going to play our interview. I didn't even tell anybody. I'm getting the rundown or nothing. Jeez, I'm way behind. So yesterday, Congresswoman Teresa Ledger Fernandez, CD3, she's in town for a couple days here. She's going to be visiting some farm ranches, some other places. But I had a chance to have a conversation with her yesterday. So we're going to play that for you here in just a bit. In the 8 o'clock hour, about 8:15, Juanita Jennings, Public Affairs Director for the City of Roswell, will join us, give us an update on what they've got going. It might be Sarah Bradley, but I think it's Juanita. And then in the 9 o'clock hour, about 9:15, we're going to have Dennis Kentai with the District Attorney's Office, and usually he'll bring one of the staff with him for their monthly visit, talk a little bit about what's happening over at the DA's office. So before we do any of that, though, let's take this quick commercial break, and like I said, on the other side, we will play that interview with Teresa Ledger Fernandez. Don't go away. We'll be back. You're listening to Mornings with Mike Winters.
With the hustle, bustle, and bright lights of the holidays in the rearview mirror, it's time to ease into the new year with a new car or truck from your friends at Roswell Ford. Because nobody makes car buying easier. With more than 500 pre-owned vehicles in stock and brand new units arriving all the time, finding the perfect vehicle is easy. A 3-day money-back guarantee on all pre-owned vehicles makes the decision easy. No payments for 90 days easily gives you time to put those holiday expenses behind you. And with a goal of 100% credit approval, Roswell Ford even makes financing easy, regardless of your credit situation. And we happily accept I-10s. Like I said, easy. So make some time and come see what we have for you at the Tailgate Nation. Whatever you're looking for, you can count on Roswell Ford to keep it simple and make it easy. We're waiting for you now at the corner of 9th and Main, so we're even easy to find.
In John 13, the Bible tells the story of Jesus washing the disciples' feet. This occurred very shortly before Jesus would be crucified. He chose this crucial time to perform a servant's job for his followers. There's an interesting scripture right before he does this that reads like this: Jesus knew that his Father had put all things under his power and that he had come from God and was returning to God. So he got up from the meal and proceeded to wash the disciples' feet. Jesus knew that God had called him back for this very purpose, to serve the world. He knew that he would shortly be back with his Father through the ultimate act of service, which was death on a cross. He also knew that he would be resurrected and go back to his Father for eternity. After washing their feet, Jesus tells them to wash one another's, to serve each other, and I think to serve the world. To be Jesus in the world so that those around you see how to belong to Jesus and experience his saving grace. Serving is one of the ways to meet our mission of knowing Jesus and making Jesus known. We invite you to come and join us in this mission.
Join us at the Country Club Road Church of Christ for worship at 10 a.m. on Sunday, located on the corner of Country Club and Washington in Roswell.
Happy New Year from the Plateau family to yours. Give your whole home the gift of ultimate connectivity in 2023. For a limited time, receive a free Visa gift card when you sign up for a true fiber internet plan from Plateau. Up to $250 for new True Gig customers. With Plateau's True Fiber internet, get unbelievable speed for streaming, gaming, working from home, and so much more. And for a limited time, new customers get a free Visa gift card. Learn more and sign up now at plateautel.com. Plateautel.com. Offer valid only for new customers within the Roswell Fiber Connected Zones, now extended through January 31st, 2023.
Oasis Computers has been Roswell's trusted source for home and small business computers for over 30 years, and they continue to be your best resource for computer repairs, operating system upgrades, web root managed antivirus, special orders, and more. Oasis Computers is now open from 8 to 1, Monday through Friday to better serve you. Service calls by appointments and after-hour appointments are available too. Stop by Oasis Computers at 1703 North Garden or call or text 575-625-9141 for even faster service.
Jennifer from Trustmark Roofing here, and I can tell you it's not always easy being a female in a male-dominated business like roofing. I remember one time I was at a meeting to bid on the roof for a local college, and it was me and 13 men. Well, I won that bid, and I'd like to win your business too. My dad was a contractor, and I've been around building and roofing my whole life. I'm licensed and bonded, and I've forgotten more about roofing than most roofers ever knew in the first place. But what really sets Trustmark apart is an obsessive attention to detail that ensures that everything goes smoothly the first time. I promise we will treat you right with respect, and we will make you happy. So yeah, it might be a bit odd for a woman to own a roofing company, but give us a try. Let us give you an estimate for your roof. I think you'll be glad you called. For all your roofing needs, call us at 575-755-ROOF or find us online at TrustmarkRoofPros.com.
Trustmark Roofing, we put people first.
Eastern New Mexico University in Portales is proud to offer potential students the opportunity to attend ENMU tuition-free with the New Mexico Opportunity Scholarship. And now we are proud to announce the newly created Freshman Hound Housing Room Grant, which will allow students the opportunity to receive up to $3,000 per year off their housing costs when living on the ENMU campus. For more information on how ENMU is making higher education more affordable for you and your family members, visit enmu.edu. Eastern New Mexico University. Student success. That's what we're about.
The average American spends 2.5 days a year looking for lost items. We aren't sure how long Europeans and Asians look for lost stuff. We lost the list. Here's Mike Winters.
And welcome back to the morning show. And joining us on the phone this morning, representing Congressional District 3, we have Congresswoman Teresa Ledger Fernandez joining us on the phone. Ma'am, first off, thank you for spending some time to talk to us today. We really do appreciate that.
Well, thank you, Mike, for having me on, and hello to everybody in the listening realm of KDN.
Well, now it's kind of new. Obviously, you're now with the redistricting that was done here in the state of New Mexico. Your district now has some new territory, and for most of us here in Roswell, we fall under that CD3 here. I know some will be under CD1 still, and even other parts of the county are in CD2, but for the most part, I think most of Roswell's under CD3. So I imagine for you, is it different? When you're, because obviously territories change, and so the people you represent change. Does that change, your strategy a little bit, and who you talk to, and how you do your job? Does it change at all, or is it pretty much the same?
That's a great question, Mike. And the short answer is it doesn't change how I do my job.
Sure.
It just changes where I do my job. And I will say that I'm looking forward to going to Roswell. This will be my first trip in my official capacity as your Congresswoman.
Yes.
But when they did the redistricting, it was done in December, and I was down in Roswell in January because I wanted to make sure I started introducing myself,
sure,
listening to what the issues are. And, what I always say is the title of my job is also the job description, and that is representative. I represent the communities in CD3, and some of the issues are very similar to other parts of my district, and others are unique. I will say part of what I'll be doing on this official visit is talking to ranchers, is going to Head Starts, talking to people in the business community. Those are some of the things that I do in Clovis or in Santa Fe or in San Miguel. Mm-hmm. I come from a ranching background. I am not a rancher, and my father left it when he left to go serve in the military. Mm-hmm. But all my uncles and grandparents and, on both sides of the family had ranches. And so that will be a big issue that we take up because we have the Farm Bill coming up. And I want to make sure I hear from people in Chavez County, people in Lee County. What are the issues that you see that we need to address in the Farm Bill?
Sure. And obviously, the state of New Mexico, and like you said, with your family, your background of farming and ranching, it not only is it a backbone here in New Mexico, but it's a world thing. I mean, I've had this conversation with a lot of folks where when you look at globally, we as a planet have to figure out, we've got more people on the planet and less people making the food to feed everybody. We got to figure out a way to make sure everyone's still fed, and that's. People can argue the good and bads of the Farm Bill, but at the end of the day, that's what we're all as a country and as a planet trying to figure out. Am I pretty close there?
Yes, and the Farm Bill gets authorized every 5 years. And so every 5 years we take a look and say, what are the priorities that we want to make sure we address? And it's really targeted in 3 areas. One is people don't realize, but our lunches and the school lunches, helping to feed the hungry. Those all come out of the Farm Bill. So there's a part of the Farm Bill which is let's make sure that in a land of abundance, which is the United States, that we do not have hunger and those that go without. The other big part of the Farm Bill is how do we help our ranchers and farmers actually get the food to us? How do we help them in that essential enterprise of feeding our state, of feeding our country? And then I think you touched on it a bit, which is that it's also economic development. We need to recognize that in New Mexico, we are a rural state, and we rely on our rural counties, our ranchers and farmers. They are an incredible economic engine for our state. And when we recognize that they are the solution to many of our problems, that's how you can highlight what they're doing and how we can come in and in our role at the federal level, help our ranchers and farmers to accomplish all those jobs, to make sure we're fed, to make sure that our children get healthy school lunches, and to create that economic development.
Sure. Does some of this, and I know when we talk at like a state, we talk like with say our school districts and things here. There's a lot in the works at local, state, and county and levels and district levels, talking about the farm to table, where local schools are actually utilizing the local farms to bring in some of the produce and things. Does some of the stuff in the Farm Bill deal with some of that on a national scale, or is that a different area? And I'm kind of out of my element there.
You are exactly in your element.
Okay.
I need to tell you that's exactly one of the areas that we want to emphasize so that we strengthen, these supply chain problems that we kept hearing about, right? They're real, right? When we are trying to get what we need to survive and thrive across oceans or even across, that's going from one part of the United States to another. We are stronger on our economy when we can get more locally. And so what we need to do is make sure that the Farm Bill and the USDA programs promote that local, the use of local food for our schools, as an example. And there are ways of doing that, and I have been pushing and promoting that. But what I need to know is I'm your congressperson. So what is my job? My job is to listen. My job is to listen to those who are experts on the ground. Tell me, how would they like to see it work? What is working and what's not working. So that's my job, is to go down and meet with the ranchers and farmers. This will be my third, farm to table. I call them farm to Congress conversations. So my third Farm to Congress conversations, my first one really did deal specifically with, from the perspective of the schools and the local initiative, the farmers markets programs, right, where people up here, there are many, I don't know about the farmers markets down there, but I'm going to find out more, where we do the double up bucks so that people who are receiving assistance to help with food costs, if they buy at the local farmers markets, they actually can basically get double their value. Because we know sometimes buying local is a little bit more expensive. The quality is better, and you're helping your own community.
Sure.
But it is a little more expensive. We need to recognize that and pay that value. And so the double up bucks, which are used for people who need a little help getting their food, is a great example of how we need to make sure that that becomes institutionalized so it's available to everybody across New Mexico and across the United States. That's local, getting the local produce to our schools or hospitals, our restaurants, and into people's homes.
Sure. Now, like you said, you're going to be here in Roswell for the next couple of days. Like you said, you're visiting farmers, ranchers. Is there any visits here over the next day or two in Roswell that say the public can come and meet and visit and hear you speak or ask questions, or is it strictly kind of just visiting farms and ranches while you're here?
Yeah, well, I'm also meeting with the Roswell Rotary Club, so in fact, I drive down, and the first meeting I have will be with the Roswell Rotary Club, and I'm also going to a Head Start there with Felicia Juarez. I'm getting a tour of CASA, which deals with children who need assistance and within the court system. So I'm doing a wide range of activities. I hope to go to the basketball game in the evening. You know, that'll be a lot of fun. So
good deal.
I'll go to the basketball game, and I'll have to stay out of rooting for one or another because I represent both Portales and Roswell. So just putting it up there, I'll have a poker face on. I'll clap for every single point that is earned by either party.
There you go. Well, you can just make sure if you're near the Portales Press, you cheer in Portales, and the Roswell Press cheer for Roswell.
And I will say the press is open. These meetings are open to the press because we're welcoming people to come and the press to come because that is a great way for people to understand what we're doing. So we have invited the press to these meetings.
Sure,
because transparency is essential. I want everybody to know that I'm there. I want them to know that my job is to listen. So in order to do that, we need to let you all know that I'm going down there and the things I'm talking about. I also would encourage everybody, go onto my website. It's at fernandez.house.gov, fernandez.house.gov. We have a newsletter that we send out, about every other week, letting everybody know what I'm doing because we want you, my constituents, to know what I've been up to. We want you to be able to, if you can't come to a meeting, you to be able to send us letters. We get thousands of letters and emails, and we strive really hard to make sure we respond to them. Sometimes it's with a phone call, sometimes it's with a letter in response. But getting input from my constituents is key because, once again, I can't represent you. I can't be your representative if I don't know what your issues and concerns are.
Well, we do appreciate you spending time to visit and things like that. I think it's sometimes in just no one's fault or whatever, but just feels like sometimes we get forgotten about sometimes in this part of the wood by folks up north there. So it's nice to have our representatives here and visit. So I greatly appreciate and hope to see a bunch of you over the next 2 years and however long that you're our representative here. But I do have a question. And just stuff and reading about you and everything is, and growing up and where you grew up, and like you said, is this your passion? Like, why one of the reasons why you decide to go for Congress is the food and the ranch is like, because I just got a sense that this is kind of like your passion project. This is the area that you feel like I can do the best to help people, and this is, am I close or is that just one of many for you?
No, you're really hitting it on the nail a lot here, Mike. So, yes, I recognize that New Mexico is a rural state.
Yeah.
And I know small places can do big things, but we also need to give support to those small places so they can do big things. And that's the role of government. I'm a big believer in business, and I helped start many a small business in my career before I became a congresswoman. I did about $1 billion worth of financing, helped build, businesses and restaurants and hotels and Head Starts and health clinics. So I understand the importance of what are the building blocks for strong communities.
Sure.
And New Mexico is rural, and our unique cultural traditions are something that I think that I value very much, and so that's why I'm very honored and proud to be able to represent, yet another rural area, Roswell, Artesia, Lovington, and economic development is a big part. I went to graduate school actually to study economic development, and when I look at Roswell, that airport that you guys have, that is a source for a lot of interesting potential. And I know that your mayor and the Chamber of Commerce and different businesses are indeed looking to help it. I want to be your partner on those things. I want to see if we can find you the federal programs that make sense to help lift that up. I want to make sure we help expand the economy there in Roswell and throughout New Mexico. And because that's what you need. We need government to provide the basic infrastructure, right? Broadband, water. I worked really hard on the bipartisan infrastructure bill, which is bringing hundreds of millions of dollars to New Mexico for water, making sure all of New Mexico gets covered that has access to broadband. Let's fix these roads of ours that have too many potholes in them, right? We need to get that infrastructure fixed so that then our businesses can grow and thrive.
Sure.
But that's how I kind of see how you look at any community in New Mexico. It has amazing potential and opportunity. We just need to make sure that we remove obstacles that might exist to that opportunity, and then give support where there is a need for support, like putting in the basic infrastructure.
Sure. And that's something that, as a state, we're going to keep growing and going for. And it's, I think, and then that's at the end of the day, I think we all want that. We all may not, when we talk Republican, Democrat and things, at the end of the day, we all want these things. We all just don't quite agree on how to do it that way. And that's the part where it can be healthy, where we say, hey, we see differing opinions and things like that. So I love that, it seems like just, our conversation here and just stuff I've read, it just seems like that you have that grassroots kind of feel like, this is, it's New Mexico thing, and you're representing New Mexico, and you understand New Mexico, and I think even though as well as everybody else knows, Roswell's a conservative area. Even though they may not agree with you politically, I think they can understand your passion and your just love of New Mexico, and I think that's the common ground we can all come and get some good work done. Does that make sense?
That is absolutely true. You know what? A pothole isn't red or green.
Yeah.
It is something that messes up our trucks,
Sure.
and we need to fix it, right?
Yeah.
Now, red and green is our state question, and that's the Chile, right? But we might, and I think that the goal is to have that key point of listening,
Sure.
right? And you will see if you look at my past record, I spend a lot of time, help to we got $177 million to help Portales and Clovis with their water system, because that was key. That was the first thing they told me they needed when I went to go visit them first as a candidate, saying I'm running, and then when I became a congresswoman, I heard about that, and I heard about the dairy farms that have been contaminated with PFAS. I went to work on both of those issues. If you ask the dairy farmers up there, they'll say, she showed up, she listened, and we got USDA to change the law. I showed up, I listened. We got $177 million for the water project. And I don't know what Roswell's needs are. I have some idea because, as I said, I've been going down there as a candidate, but it's really exciting to be going down there as your congresswoman, because I will be bringing with me my staff, because my staff is amazing. They get great things done. And one of the great things that people need to know, that your congresswoman's office is here to serve you. And we are the WD-40 for federal agencies. A lot A lot of times, that's coming from grassroots, knowing how to, how to fix things with baling wire and masking tape and WD-40, right? Sometimes things get stuck in the federal agencies. People aren't getting their VA benefits. Their Social Security got messed up. A range of federal issues. Mm-hmm. You can call our staff, and we will go to bat for you. We cannot make the decision, but we can help unstick it, and we are going to be with you. We serve you, and we will call up the agencies. Whichever federal agency is, we will be your can of WD-40 to try to unstick things that are stuck in the federal agencies. As Constituent Services, Carlos Sanchez, who is my Director of Constituent Services, he'll be down there. Sochi Campos Biggs, who's my District Director, will also be with there.
Okay.
Ben Salazar, who's at Clovis right now, will be there. So we want to introduce our entire team to the people in Chavez County.
Excellent. Well, we do look forward to your visit here, and I look forward to in the future here getting you in studio, and we'll have some morning conversations on the radio here, and just keeping people up to date on what's going on in Congress, and especially I would love when you get those free times. Obviously, when you're on Capitol Hill and we see the news and we see all what's going on there, trying to make heads or tails of what's going on in Congress. Whenever you get those free moments to call us and kind of keep us up to date on that, we greatly appreciate it.
Oh, that sounds so much fun. We will most definitely do it. And if you see something, it's like, okay, I want her to tell us what's happening. You have our number. Give us a call.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Congresswoman. Look forward to the visit, and we look forward to seeing you here in town.
Thank you, Mike.
Now your Pecos Valley News Update. I'm Jared Cirillo. Roswell police, often criticized for not being transparent enough, is now facing scrutiny for being too transparent. RPD now in the middle of an investigation into the killing of a knife-wielding man in front of a home on January 6th. Earlier this week, RPD released 2 videos showing the killing. Both videos completely unedited. Nicholas Acosta's family released a statement this week saying their trauma and grief is now compounded because they had no idea that the video was going public. Prosecutors say a failed GOP candidate accused of orchestrating a series of drive-by shootings at the homes of Democratic elected officials in New Mexico's largest city is a danger to the community and should be detained pending trial. They filed a motion Wednesday asking that Solomon Pena be held without bond. He appeared via video shackled for an initial court hearing, as a judge explained he would remain in custody pending a detention hearing scheduled for next month. You're up to date. I'm Jared Cirillo reporting.
So far this year, there's been about 50,000 tech jobs cut, and it's only going to get worse over the next 90 days. And the scammers are getting very creative. I'm Kim Commando, brought to you by T-Mobile. Their advanced network now goes farther than ever before. Visit T-Mobile.com/55 today. Insider spoke with a woman named Roberta who got a message from a recruiter saying she was a great fit for a job at a supply chain management company. They set up the interview. At the last minute, the fake company's CTO switched the meeting from a video to a phone call. And on that call, Roberta was offered the fake job, signed an employment contract, and was told that she needed to buy a computer and a monitor to do the job, and that cost $15,000. Yeah, a scam. A few things. Never trust a company telling you that you need to buy expensive stuff, and you'll be reimbursed later. And don't send money through Venmo, Zelle, PayPal, or any other app. And get more tech smarts with my longer daily podcast available everywhere, called Kim Commando Today. Over the holidays, property crimes like burglaries and package theft spike. That's why now is the best time to secure a home with award-winning home security. I use SimpliSafe at my home and recommend it to everybody. Make it your resolution to start the new year with greater peace of mind for you and your family. In an emergency, SimpliSafe's professional monitoring agents use Fast Protect technology. This captures critical evidence and verifies that the threat is real, so you can get priority police response. And SimpliSafe provides whole home security with advanced sensors for every room, window, and door. All for under $1 a day, less than half the price of ADT. With their top-rated app, stay in complete control of your system. Arm or disarm, unlock it for a guest, access your cameras, or adjust system settings. Customize the perfect system for your home at SimpliSafeKim.com. Go today and claim a free indoor security camera plus 20% off your order with interactive monitoring. That's SimpliSafeKim.com. There's no safe like Simply Safe.
I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton with your Pecos Valley weather. We have a little cold front dropping in from the northeast, and that'll give us breezy conditions today, and fairly cool temperatures. Will be staying in the mid-50s with some sun and some clouds. Pretty cold for the overnight hours, 25 to 30 on our low and a few lingering clouds. We'll bounce back to about 60 for the afternoon high on Friday, and sunny. Looks pretty good for the weekend, but it will be cool, highs in the 50s. That's your latest forecast. I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton.
It's time for the Chavez County Sports Report. Basketball naturally has been dominating the proceedings in these sports reports lately, but we want to harken back to the football season and not quite let go just yet of the Gateway Christian Warriors season, dominating six-man football in New Mexico en route to the state championship, and a lot of players selected as as all-state selections. Hayden Wigley, for instance, first-team quarterback, second-team defensive line from the Warriors. Nathaniel Wigley, first-team offense outside linebacker, second-team wide receiver. Elijah Perry, he was a first-team selection as a slot receiver and tight end. And kickers, Maddox Jennings, place kicker, was selected first-team, as well as Jace Worley. He was selected as first-team punter for six-man football in New Mexico. Congratulations all. The Sports Report brought to you by DSI. Call DSI for all your office technology needs. I'm Eric Butler at Roswell's Talk FM 106.5.
With the Wall Street Business Report, I'm Bill Alexander. The S&P 500 and the Dow lost almost 2% on Wednesday, their biggest daily drops in more than a month, after weak economic data fueled recession worries, while hawkish comments from Federal Reserve officials soured investor moods further. U.S. retail sales fell by the most in a year in December, pulled down by declines in purchases of motor vehicles and a range of other goods, putting consumer spending and the overall economy on a weaker growth path heading into 2023. Amazon is cutting jobs in the United States, Canada, and Costa Rica as part of its plan to lay off 18,000 employees, the e-commerce giant said in a memo to staff. The layoffs are the latest in the United States technology sector, with companies cutting their bloated workforce and slashing costs to reverse pandemic-era excess and prepare for a worsening global economy. For the Wall Street Business Report, I'm Bill Alexander in Washington.
9 of 10 people with pre-diabetes don't even know they have it. Left untreated, diabetes can lead to other health complications including heart disease, stroke, and liver disease. Don't put off your care any longer. Artesia General Hospital's Diabetes Care Team can help you make a personalized plan to manage diabetes or pre-diabetes and reclaim your health. Learn more or request an appointment at artesiageneral.com/diabetes.
With the hustle, bustle, and bright lights of the holidays in the rearview mirror, it's time to ease into the new year with a new car or truck from your friends at Roswell Ford. Because nobody makes car buying easier. With more than 500 pre-owned vehicles in stock and brand new units arriving all the time, finding the perfect vehicle is easy. A 3-day money-back guarantee on all pre-owned vehicles makes the decision easy. No payments for 90 days easily gives you time to put those holiday expenses behind you. And with a goal of 100% credit approval, Roswell Ford even makes financing easy, regardless of your credit situation. And we happily accept I-10s. Like I said, easy. So make some time and come see what we have for you at the Tailgate Nation. Whatever you're looking for, you can count on Roswell Ford to keep it simple and make it easy. We're waiting for you now at the corner of 9th and Main, so we're even easy to find.
If you need a Kubota that works and plays hard, stop looking. You'll find everything you need at Amigo Machinery. When it comes to tough Kubota tractors, mowers, construction equipment, and utility vehicles, all with low-rate financing, Amigo Machinery is your one-stop shop. We are passionately committed to providing our customers with the highest quality products, most innovative solutions, and services delivered with integrity and professionalism. Stop by Amigo Machinery in Roswell or see us online at amigo-machinery.com.
Sure, you can inspect your own roof, get out that rickety ladder, crawl around up there and try to spot the problem until... Or you can call the experts at Do Right Roofing. Do Right Roofing has quality products for any type of roof. They can even install seamless gutters. Do Right Roofing will inspect your roof and give you a free estimate fast. Keep your feet on the ground. Call Do Right Roofing today.
575-623-2273. Let Do Right do your roof right.
Find them fast in names and numbers.
This is Dallas Cowboys football 2022.
2nd and 10. Elliott's back in the game.
Only heard here.
Prescott in the gun. Back to throw.
All season.
Well protected. Go to the end zone. Schultz at the goal line, and he's in for the touchdown.
This Sunday, it's the divisional round of the NFL playoffs with your Cowboys visiting the San Francisco 49ers on this Dallas Cowboys radio network station.
Pre-game at 3:30, kickoff at 4:30 on your Cowboy station, 92.9 The Brand.
Here's a Mornings with Mike Winters fun fact. Astronauts are not allowed to eat beans before they go into space because passing wind in a spacesuit damages them. The suits for the astronauts. Here's Mike Winters.
And good morning, closing in on 7:59. Stay tuned next hour, about 8:15 or so. Juanita Jennings, Public Affairs Director for the City of Roswell, join us, give us an update on things happening in and around the city. And then in the 9 o'clock hour, we're going to have Dennis Kentai from the DA's office join us to, and usually brings one of the members there too, and we'll get an update on what's going on there. Hey, I do want to invite you out on Sunday at Christ Church, which is located at 2200 Sycamore. They're having a prayer service, pro-life prayer service, and it's going to be at 7 p.m. at Christ Church, which again is located at 2200 Sycamore this Sunday. They're just asking folks to come out, pray, peaceful, just coming out and pray. That's all they're doing, and then praying for lawmakers, everything else to make the right decision. So this Sunday, 7 p.m., 2200 Sycamore at Christ Church. All right, Town Hall News up next. We got to go.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. The U.S. government bumping up against its $31.4 trillion debt ceiling. No more borrowing unless they raise the roof or the debt ceiling is suspended. The Biden administration and the Democrats want to extend the government's borrowing power, but House Republicans say not without some spending cuts. There have been many more questions from reporters than answers coming from the White House when it comes to the Biden classified document scandal.
The White House counsel's office will be able to address that question. I will refer you to the White House counsel's office. I would refer you to the White House counsel's office. No, you would have to go to the Department of Justice.
Reporters getting the runaround from White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre. Now, the weekly employment report is just in.
The Labor Department says the number of Americans applying for jobless aid for the week ending January 14th fell by 15,000 to 190,000. The 4-week moving average of claims, which can even out the week-to-week volatility, declined by 6,500 to 206,000. About 1.65 million people were receiving jobless aid the week that ended January 7th, an increase of 17,000 from the week before.
That's correspondent Jeremy House reporting. President Biden getting ready to depart for California. He'll be touring some of the damage done by the recent series of powerful storms that lashed the state from north to south. A fall from the roof of his home landed Florida Republican Congressman Greg Steube in the hospital. This from his office. Congressman Steube was involved in an accident on his property and has sustained several injuries. Please pray for the congressman and his family. Inflation and recession fears taking a toll on Wall Street. Right now, the Dow is down about 201 points, while the Nasdaq is off 88, the S&P 25 points in the red. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Here's an important message from the Diabetes Solution Center. Do you like pricking your fingers to test your blood sugar levels? No one does, but it's important to maintain your health. And now, by wearing a small remote device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you don't need to prick your fingers anymore. It's easy to use and helps you make more accurate diabetes treatment decisions. If you are testing your blood sugar 3 or more times daily, injecting insulin, or using an insulin pump, call the Diabetes Solution Center right now. And if you have Medicare or most major insurance coverage, you may be able to get a new CGM at little to no out-of-pocket cost. Shipping is free, and we'll even bill your insurance company for you. If you are testing your blood sugar 3 or more times daily, injecting insulin, or using an insulin pump, call the Diabetes Solution Center right now to learn how to end the painful finger sticks and get your own continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, at little to no out-of-pocket cost.
Asia's hoped-for Chinese tourism boost may not happen as most travelers opt to stay inside China if they go anywhere.
Tour operators are saying the upcoming Lunar New Year will not bring the usual hordes of Chinese visitors to the beaches of Bali or the powdery ski slopes of Hokkaido. The disappointing outlook comes as China has relaxed coronavirus restrictions on travel, resulting in a surge of cases. Many believe Chinese are hesitant to travel outside of China for the moment because of COVID-19 risks. For now, the Chinese territories of Macau and Hong Kong appear to be the most favored destinations. I'm Karen Chamas.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has told political leaders at the World Economic Forum in Davos that supplies of Western weapons must come quicker than Russia's attacks, urging the world to move faster because, his words, tragedies are outpacing life, the tyranny is outpacing democracy. News and analysis, townhall.com. You might just detect something of a different vibe at this year's March for Life in Washington.
That's because this Friday's march will be the first since the Roe v. Wade decision legalizing abortion was overturned. In spite of the victory, leaders of the march say their work is not finished. With numerous Democratic-governed states taking steps to expand abortion access, Carol Tobias, president of National Right to Life, likens the current situation to the pre-Civil War era when the nation was closely divided between free states and slave states. She says it's a civil rights issue for pro-lifers and they are not giving up. Keith Peters reporting.
Big job cuts in the world of big tech. Microsoft sending out some 10,000 pink slips. That's roughly 5% of its global workforce. Microsoft joins other tech firms that have scaled back their pandemic-era expansions. More on these stories at townhall.com.
What in the wide world of sports is going on here?
I promise you, whatever scum did this, not one man in this force will rest for 1 minute until he's behind bars. Now let's grab a bite to eat. Yeah, come on.
I feel the hot wind on my shoulder and the touch of a world that is older. I hit the switch and check the number. I leave it on and then I slumber. I hear the rhythm ringing through it. Flamenco guitar and cumbia music. I hear the talking of the DJ. The abolition, what does he say? I'm on a Mexican radio. I'm on a Mexican radio.
Broadcasting live from high atop the J.P. White Building in downtown Roswell, New Mexico. It's Mornings with Mike Winters on 106.5 Roswell's Talk FM.
Is that what I sound like when I talk?
Now, here's your host, Mike Winters.
And good morning. It is 6 minutes after 8 o'clock. Welcome to hour number 2.
The deuce
of Mornings with Mike Winters right here on 106.5 Roswell Talk FM. Happy Thursday.
Yeah, buddy.
I hope all of you are having a delightful Thursday.
Thirsty Thursday.
Yeah. Hey, real quick, if you'd like to get your dance on, Saturday night, Cibolo Springs will be performing at Westminster Presbyterian Church, 2801 West 4th Street in the Fellowship Hall, plus dance to Sidney Richardson's 50s and 60s rock and roll and Marvin Roberts' country western. It's this Saturday night, 6 to 9 p.m., again, at Westminster Presbyterian Church. Admission's only $5, and there's refreshments, usually pretty good spread of eats out there, and come out and dance and, you know, bring a partner to dance, or maybe come out and meet a partner to dance with. This Saturday night, 2801 West 4th Street, Westminster Presbyterian Church. Come out for a great night of 50s and 60s rock and roll, country western, and good night of boot scooting.
Speaking of giving shout-outs and mentions, I'm not going to make it. We're not going to make it tonight, but trivia night at the Liberty. Going down at 6:30 tonight. It's absolutely free.
Is Chris
hosting? Yep.
The whipster?
Yes, sir.
He'll whip it good.
He will indeed. But yeah, trivia night. We've actually been training, for it because trying to get ourselves ready. But it's just we're all stretched wafer thin, both with time and with finances.
You could get one more bite in.
You'd think it is wafer thin.
One more bite.
But so yeah, we're not going to make it. But it should be a good night of fun. I did, however, through this process, find out that there are interactive trivia games on Netflix.
Oh yeah,
I'd never had ventured in.
Like part of training.
Yeah, we were like, I wonder if there's like trivia, and yeah, sure enough, there's actual. You could play trivia on.
You bust out.
Netflix.
You don't know Jack games and all that.
See, those were the ones I loved. You don't know Jack. They actually have the Jackbox series of games now, but no, we were playing. Do you remember the game? And this is. It reminded me of something too. There's a game on Netflix called Trivia Quest.
Okay.
And it's the makers of a game that. It was sort of like, how Wordle took off last year and everybody was playing Wordle? Mm-hmm. Do you remember that weird time, like 5, 6, maybe 7 years ago, where everybody, regardless of like age, gender, nationality, everybody was playing Trivia Crack? Were you not?
I was not in the crack group.
Everybody I talked to was playing Trivia Crack.
I was not in the group.
It was an obsession.
I must have been doing Farmville or something.
People were like, what's your score or what's your best topic on Trivia Crack? So it's Trivia Crack, but they didn't call it, they call it Trivia Quest. And it's basically each show is a theme, like, a Netflix-based show, one about video games, and they ask you questions in like history, geography, entertainment, but also based on those topics.
Okay.
And it's one of those situations where you find out this is why I don't know math, because I'm just really good at trivia. Like I'm really good at answering random questions about like Latvia.
You should do a Jeopardy run.
Yeah, maybe one of these days. I'm also bad at answering questions in the form of a question.
Oh,
so
well, maybe you need to find a different game show. Mm-hmm. Is there any other trivia game shows that don't make you like in one of these nighttime ones, one of these circles?
They still do Who Wants to Be a Millionaire,
or the one where the ladies rude to you. Or the one with the geniuses. What's that one called? They're all on NBC, aren't they? Where they're all. I never watched any.
The one with the geniuses. I think that's called The Chase.
Maybe that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's called The Chase.
They get kind of snarky geniuses to. Yeah.
It was real big in Britain, Britain on BBC, and they brought it over here.
Yeah.
And the one like head genius was the one from the show.
And what's the one with the British lady? It was kind of.
That was called The Weakest Link.
Weakest Link. Yeah.
You're the weakest link. Goodbye.
Yeah, they still around.
What was so funny about that show was when she there were certain contestants that she took like a little bit of a liking to, but she still had to do her thing at the end. So she's like, "It pains me to say it, but we must. You are the weakest link. Goodbye." And she just turned away.
Yep.
Like you could tell it hurt her a little bit.
Well, they rebooted it with Jane Lynch.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
A couple years ago. I don't know if it's still around, but I know they reincarnated that show and Jane Lynch was the new host. So and she kind of was playing that snarky role too. Mm-hmm. Obviously not in the British accent, but
she turns to him and says, "Have you ever had a?" I'm not going to finish that sentence. I can't finish that sentence on the radio, buddy.
One more thing. I mentioned at the bottom of last hour here, but do want to, in case folks are just tuning in and missed it. There is a pro-life prayer service that all are invited to this Sunday, 7 p.m., and it's going to be at Christ Church, 2200 Sycamore, 7 p.m. this Sunday. It's just prayer for change, prayer for our leaders. Obviously, we got the legislative session going on. Just pray for our leaders and pray that they make the right decisions. And if you're so inclined to go there, they invite all to come out this Sunday, 7 p.m., 2200 Sycamore at Christ Church there. So just want to put that on people's radar, too. So you can go dancing Saturday and praying on Sunday.
As it should be. dancing the night away on Saturday and praying the sins away on Sunday.
There you go. Absolutely here. Juanita Jennings, Public Affairs Director for the City of Roswell, will join us here in just a few. Give us an update on what's happening in and around town. Speaking of trivia real quick, I was giggling watching during the last hour. There was, I think, I don't know, one of the sports shows was having like their own version of Jeopardy, and Shaq and a couple of the other hosts were contestants. And there was one guy, I don't know the name. I don't watch enough of those sports shows to know the people. But the one guy was just nailing it. And Shaq was getting mad because he's like, my buzzer not working. he's breaking the final Jeopardy board because the other guy, and the other guy's like, the one question that just got him, it was something to the effect of like, what back in ancient Egypt, what was the material that they were demanding or something? And Shaq's like, I know it. And he didn't get the buzzer, but the other guys, you go ahead. I'll let you in. You get 2 guesses. And he's like, it's green marble, green something. And he's something green. And he's like, no. Finally go to the other guy. He goes, terracotta. Shaq is so mad. When he gets it right. So when you were talking about the trivia thing, I just so happened to watch Shaq get mad.
It's nice to think about an angry Shaq, because I feel like Shaq, he has it too good.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I mean, it's not, in all fairness, it's not. It's Dick Shaq.
I'm going to go film a commercial for Papa John's and also a commercial for the General.
And don't forget Gold Bond.
Oh, yeah, Gold Bond. Yeah.
Would be Radio Shack if they were still around. What else has he done? There's a bunch of them. There's more. We're missing some.
No, a man to turn down a paycheck.
I think there's a pain cream too.
Do you know he
Not
has
just Gold Bomb, but a pain cream?
He has the record for I can't remember if it's the record, but he spent single-handedly more money in a Walmart than any one person ever.
Good for him.
And like one of his, it was like $76,000 he spent on one trip to Walmart.
Was it like buying stuff for people?
Yeah,
or
no, he was
just shopping.
It was when he was first starting out. He got his first big check.
Okay.
And he had to furnish his house, his apartment. So he went to Walmart and he's like, I'm gonna need towels, I'm gonna need pots and pans. So he bought all his house stuff. And then he just said he went nuts and just started buying TVs. So he just bought a bunch of TVs and yeah, racked up like $76,000 in.
I would think he'd have to spend, save his money to buy bigger beds. Because I can't imagine he just can't be in a regular bed. No. Or a couch or something.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
He's a man who probably knows his way around a bath towel, bath sheet or two.
Yeah, he's all about the bath sheets. They come up to his waist.
I have to tie 2 bath sheets together.
Right. I need a bath tent. A bath tent.
A bath tent. I prefer a bath wigwam.
Who would, think his bath bomb's the size of a bowling ball. Drops it in. Bloosh. All right, it is 8:15. Let's go ahead and get you up to date on the weather. No splashing.
I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton with your Pecos Valley weather. We have a little cold front dropping in from the northeast, and that'll give us breezy conditions today, and fairly cool temperatures. Will be staying in the mid-50s with some sun and some clouds. Pretty cold for the overnight hours, 25 to 30 on our low and a few lingering clouds. We'll bounce back to about 60 for the afternoon high on Friday, and sunny. Looks pretty good for the weekend, but it will be cool, highs in the 50s. That's your latest forecast. I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton.
Thank you, Steve. Currently 37 degrees here in Roswell. Humidity is at 44%. Winds currently out of the northwest at 9 miles per hour. Partly cloudy today, 57 for a high. Much like yesterday. Better part, though, is the winds aren't going to be as crazy. West winds 5 to 10 this afternoon. Tonight, partly cloudy, overnight low of 24. South winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Friday, sunny, highs back up near 60. Winds will be out of the north 5 to 10 early. Southwest 15 to 20 for tomorrow afternoon. Friday night, mostly clear. Overnight low of 29 degrees. West winds 15 to 20 miles per hour. Looking at your weekend, cooler on Saturday, mostly sunny, 53 for a high. Northwest winds 15 to 20 miles per hour. Sunday, sunny skies, highs back near 60, 59 officially. And now remember all those rain chances there first thing Saturday, and now Monday night there's a 20%. Past that, and that'll probably be gone by tomorrow. So there's your New Mexico weather. It's 8:16. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and then Juanita Jennings will join us on the other side. Don't go away.
If you're missing a tooth or several teeth, a dental implant may be the ultimate solution. Implants look and feel so much like real teeth that you probably forget you have an implant. Maupin and Brown Dentistry is one of New Mexico's most experienced implant providers, with literally thousands of implant patients who are absolutely delighted with the results. Call Maupin and Brown today for an evaluation. You'll be surprised how affordable implants can be. Maupin and Brown, your choice for experienced, state-of-the-art dentistry.
A comedian once said, "No one can tell me anything, not even myself." Hi, this is Pastor Troy and Julie Smotherman for The Joy of Marriage.
You know, most people stop listening and start forming an answer or response when someone's talking to them within 7 seconds, so they miss most of the information.
John 10:27 says, "My sheep listen to my voice. I know them and they follow me."
You know, when Julie and I were preparing for this, she looked right at me after I spoke for a while and said, "What?" I guess we all have work to do in listening. But you know what? Just like learning to know God takes time and focus and to know His voice, it's going to take time and focus to really get to know our spouse and to really start enjoying and loving marriage.
If you have any questions or would like further information about the Joy of Marriage Ministry, please go to jomconference.com.
This is the owner of Trustmark Roofing, and nothing makes us happier than telling our customers no. As in, no pricing games. We give you a guaranteed price and then we stand by it. No surprises, no gotchas. No obscurity. We don't just tell you what's wrong with your roof. We record our inspections and show you. No lemons. We install premium roofing materials from top brands like Owens Corning. No shortcuts. We're in the 2% of roofers with the Owens Corning Preferred Contractor Certificate for our local area. This means we offer precision installation and the longest warranties. Want a beautiful new roof that's built to last? Choose Trustmark Roofing, the roofer that loves to tell our customers no. For an estimate, call us at 575-755-ROOF or find us online at trustmarkroofpros.com.
Trustmark Roofing, we put people first.
Here's a Mornings with Mike Winters fun fact. China has more English speakers than the United States. They have more Chinese speakers, too. Here's Mike Winters.
And good morning. It is 19 minutes after 8 o'clock, and joining us in studio this morning, of course, Public Affairs Director, as always, joining us here. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Juanita Jennings, and also joining us with Leadership New Mexico. We have Steve Garcia with us this morning as well.
Good morning.
Here this morning. Good morning. How are you today?
Doing great.
I forgot to ask you, are you from Albuquerque area?
Yes.
Is that where you live? Okay.
I'm born and raised in Albuquerque, yeah.
Not here. It's like, maybe, odds are pretty good. Albuquerque's a good second guess.
Good one. You're dead on it.
So, I guess probably before we kind of get into everything, maybe we should kind of give folks, all right, what exactly is Leadership New Mexico? Maybe we'll start there. Talk a little bit about the program and talk about what it targets and what its goals are.
Sure thing. So Leadership in Mexico started about 25 years ago.
Okay.
It started as a small group of leaders in around the Albuquerque area and grew out to cover the entire state.
Okay.
And what it did was it brought different leaders, C-suite representatives from the different companies, both public and private, together for as a networking opportunity, but at the same time discuss social issues, political issues, a lot of it's economic issues, and try to get points of view from every aspect. Whether you're a red, you're a blue, you're a gray, didn't matter what political affiliation, but it brought people together. And as the program progressed, they started looking at there's different age groups with different ideas. So the program grew into 3 different programs.
Okay.
So Leadership New Mexico is covered by the first program, which is your local government leadership program.
Okay.
And those are your representatives from city, county, state government.
It's kind of like the civic side of
correct.
things.
Your municipals, your education, your your tax people, and there's really no specific age group for that.
Okay.
After that, we have the Connect program, which is in town today. We have our Connect group, about 23 individuals from all over the state.
Okay.
3 of them are local from right here in Roswell.
And they've been in town all week, right?
Yeah.
One day to visiting and seeing kind of what we do here in Roswell.
Yes, and that's the beauty of this program, is that we get to bring these young professionals from across the state
Mm-hmm.
to our community to learn about what we do here and the impact that Roswell has on the entire state. So they came in on Tuesday and they're staying through Saturday. We are taking them all around.
Good deal. So they've actually been coming through, and I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there, but I just kind of want to get folks that say, so this group, they're the group that's here and kind of learning about.
Okay.
But talk a little bit about some of the things they're doing while they're here.
Sure. So they've been introduced to the County Economic Development Department.
Okay.
With Mike Espiti.
Yeah, the CDC. Yeah.
And they had a really good presentation by the mayor and the city manager about Roswell's economic base, the goods and the bads. We don't hide anything in leadership because it gives them, these young professionals, a chance to talk about it.
Sure.
Some of them may have better ideas than others. They do discuss differences. It's a completely comfortable environment to be open with each other, allowing that network capability.
Sure.
And this is the Connect group is between 30 and 40 years old. We try to stay in that realm. And then we have the next group, which is your core group. And your core is 40 and above. And in our core group, just to give you an example of this year's, we have 3 mayors.
Okay.
We have a few CEOs. We have a lot of your C-suite representatives, like your CFOs,
Sure.
your CAOs or CEOs from different
People that have really
organizations.
been leaders in our communities for many years.
That's correct. And they bring a lot of good information, a lot of times a lot of good influence so that they can exchange ideas. And they cover everything from, cannabis is a big issue right now and how it either is or isn't benefiting, what's working on the tax piece of it. They're talking a lot about the oil and gas. As you know, it's a huge topic because the state has this great surplus. And it's good to hear about from this core group right now, where it's best spent. And as you know what's going on right now in Santa Fe,
Sure.
they're trying to figure that out.
And there's a lot of money, and they're trying to figure out what to do with it
I would love to be on
all.
a fly there on the wall there.
It's going to be hot and heavy for the next 2 months there. Everyone's I got ideas.
So, and that's the beauty of leadership in New Mexico, no matter if it's the local government group, the Connect, or the core group.
Sure.
They can share those ideas because somebody has a great idea. And I had a general tell me, I'm retired from the military. He said, Steve, remember, not every great idea is a good idea.
Sure.
People have these grandiose ideas, and a lot of that's what's going on in Santa Fe.
Yeah. There's
good ideas, things that people need to stick to.
Well, can I? And this is I'm going to get a little philosophical, but I'm kind of, is over the years this group here, and we look at Leadership New Mexico and you look at the world we live in now, and politically, I'm 50 years old, or almost 50 here, and in my 50 years on this earth, this feels like the most politically divisive we've seen in our community.
Absolutely.
And things.
I agree.
And here's the thing I get, and this is where I think things like Leadership New Mexico are important, because at the end of the day, despite the deep differences, I think we're all wanting the same thing.
Absolutely.
We're all speaking the same thing. We just don't agree on exactly what that is. And I think what our problem is we feel like we're in a world where, like, you have to line up on this side and agree with this, this, and this. And if you don't agree with anything in this and this, then we got a problem. And the same thing on this side here. And what reality is, there's probably all of us think, there's a couple ideas over here that are pretty good. A couple of ideas over here are pretty good. I hate this idea and I hate this idea, but that's good. Sure. And it's good. And we need that back. And I think this is where Leadership New Mexico and entities like it have to kind of step the next level up to remind our divisive parties to say, hey, you got a job and you're not doing it. You're dividing, not uniting. We need to, you know what I'm saying? Does that make sense? Yeah. This is where I feel like this is where we need, like, Leadership New Mexico and Leadership Roswell and Leadership Santa Fe and everybody else to step up and do the same thing.
So that's the beauty of what you just said.
Yeah.
They have these local leadership groups. And a lot of times it's your realtors and your bankers and your small business owners and your local city government officials that come together, and they can exchange it without hostility.
Right.
And that's what we're feeling today. I think we all have the same ideas, but because the big media has said you're either red or you're blue.
Sure.
But we all have great ideas.
Yes.
And New Mexico is a small place. We've got a hidden gem in a lot of the resources that we have. What's the best way to use them? And I think Leadership in Mexico is a perfect opportunity to bring from every sector, the private and the public sector together. Some of those ideas are going to come out and they're going to take those to their leaders.
Sure.
That's Connect, especially because they're in my opinion, they're the ground troops of these wonderful enterprises. So they're going to take these back to their CEOs, to their executives, and share what they've learned.
Well, and I think, and this is probably discussions, at all three levels within New Mexico they're talking about is how do we make that, because at the end of the day, we got to be fiscally smart about things and, make sure the money's there and we have enough for everybody and it's there for the next generation of people here. But at the same time, we also need to understand that not all of us have the same, values and things. Some family may be important to you. Family may be less important. But guess what? You both have that right to feel and live that way. Right. And we just got to find that way to say, hey, look, we can all agree on these smart things. And, while at the same time, allow the freedom of people to live how they choose, choose what decisions they make for their lives and what's best for them. And that's the discussion I think like groups like Leadership Roswell need to have and need to get that word out and say, is, well, wait a minute, why are we all put in these boxes like you're saying and we have to live in these boxes and if we can just for a second let our guards down and not ready to go to war over it and say, hey, that's a good idea over there. How can we take some of what you're doing and I think that's why we need Leadership New Mexico to kind of remind,
it's
to
a
bind,
bridging.
Yes,
and
even to call out the shenanigans when you have the extreme crazy talk on either side. And you say, "I reel that in. Come on now." That's where I think that to me that seems like the greatest need or asset for something like a leadership problem.
It's gaining momentum, which is wonderful.
Yeah.
COVID put a hit on everybody because of the social thing.
Sure.
And Leadership in Mexico is all about face-to-face
interaction. That really put a damper.
Doing leadership engagements on Zoom really bummed people out. So we're past that. But I want Juanita to talk about the city leaders here in Roswell and their interest in Leadership in Mexico, because it hits just on what you just said. They know the influence that these people have and where they're going to go back to. And your mayor has has a particular interest.
And everybody that's lived in Roswell, we've experienced just exactly what we've been talking about here over the last couple of years with elections. And as long as there's been elections that's been going on. But I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, it's great. So, as we prepare for people coming into our community, we always like to have the mayor welcome them. And he was so interested and open and welcoming. He came to them, to talk to them for a good 20 minutes on their first day.
That's a lot because our mayor's not a wordy guy. He's kind of a simple to the point kind of dude. So to get him to talk for 20 minutes straight, it's
pretty amazing.
Pretty impressive.
It was great. And our participants in the program had really great questions. And I think the beauty, this is one of the gems that we have here, is that he's been around the block, right? He's 40 years in all different levels.
Sure.
And to be able to share that with this young group of audience that we have, it was wonderful. So he came out on Tuesday, welcomed them at the visitor center. We took them to the UFO museum. Let them kind of walk around there. And then from there, we kind of went yesterday. We talked at the university and did a tour of our aviation industry. We heard from a counselor. We heard from EDC, talked a little bit about the judicial system and city, county government. And again, just that wealth of knowledge and the support that we get from these local leaders. Like, there are a lot of alumni. That was the beauty of it. So Tuesday night, we had a really great reception at Pioneer Bank for the community to come out and meet these young professionals to talk about what we do here in Roswell. And hopefully they share it, with their community organizers and their leaders, and then they bring their families. That's the part of my hat and the role, is they're going to bring their families back to visit our great community because they didn't get to see everything. Today, they're learning about leadership styles and development. We have a gentleman, Phil Bryson, come in and really work with the leaders. They're going to talk about their leadership legacy, what they've learned, and we're going to talk a little bit more about art and culture of our community at the Roswell Museum.
Oh, nice.
And then we'll have another reception tonight. And then tomorrow, we're going to be at New Mexico Military Institute and really talk about that gem that we have
Speaking
here.
of leadership.
Yes.
Your future leaders, right?
Yeah, that's
Yes.
a factory of them right there.
Yes. And then, like Steve was talking about, there's those hot topics. Well, here we are in Roswell, and we have a cannabis production company right here.
Sure.
And so they have been so gracious to allow us to bring our participants over there to learn more about it. And then we're going to have a moderated discussion, because in the group, there are some that are for it and some that are against it.
Sure.
And these are the young professionals and the leaders that are going to be those CEOs, those executives someday. And it's really great to have that dialogue of,
Absolutely.
what is important to New Mexico, and they are that change agent.
And I would imagine too, just because the way how the state decided to kind of handle legalization of cannabis, and they kind of left it up to the municipalities to say, all right, you figure out rules.
City
on
ordinance, you write it, you tell us
figure it
what
out,
goes,
and
yeah.
which great freedom, I guess, but it makes a lot of muddy waters here, and so. Now more than ever, I imagine there's a lot where Leadership New Mexico is involved in that networking. It's like,
Absolutely.
okay, how are they doing it in Roswell versus how they're doing it in Ruidoso or in Taos or whatever. That's hugely important. I imagine, and I'm not trying to toot horns or anything here, but from what I understand, the city of Roswell's actually kind of been one of the forefronts on the how to do cannabis in how to meet within the guidelines the state's given us, but at the same time not offend anybody and do it and so from everything I'm understanding, Roswell's kind of been one of those communities that people look to see how they're doing it, and others have followed suit. So I imagine and then I imagine too there's people coming in and saying, I love what you're doing here, and then probably talking to Kevin or something, say, but up here we do this and switch, and so it's a chance to tweak and to kind of on particularly issues like this where there's a lot of gray area, kind of put everyone on the same page, kind of stuff. So I imagine it's pretty important for stuff like that.
It's huge, and it was first introduced in 2019 is when the governor had her panel out exploring cannabis, and they actually came to my class. I was a core class of 2020 in Leadership Mexico. But it was more informational at the time, and we're trying to get cities and counties and constituents to at least just vote it in as recreational. We'll come up with the rules later.
Gotcha.
Well, here's later.
Later.
We are now later.
Yeah.
It passed. It got the vote finally in 2021, I believe, and so now here we are.
And it was rough to start, but I think I know here in Roswell it's pretty smooth out. I'm guessing other parts of the state are probably in the same boat as we are on that one. So.
And the best part about it is listening to both sides, because that's what we have in leadership. I will tell you what was very strategic about bringing Connect here and going straight to the UFO museum. When we got here, let's get that out of the way, because everybody associates Roswell with the UFO.
Yeah.
Well, let's go show it to you. Let's go show you the museum.
Yes.
Let you read some. Get out of your system, because we've got some big issues to focus on.
Well, that's kind of on the
at.
tourism side. They kind of like come to the alien state for the rest of the stuff.
Yeah,
and all the
that's
other
what they
history.
did. They planned this thing perfectly.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, and that's the other thing. Like, yes, I love aliens. I'm going to talk about those aliens all day long to get people to come here. But I also have to show them everything else in this community that I am super passionate about. So we're going to the Anderson Museum. We're going to talk about arts. We're going to talk about agriculture. Agriculture is big here. Normally we go and do a tour at a dairy and how to, from farm to table. And we have that land and those opportunities here. And a lot of people, some of the people in our participation, they've never been to Roswell before.
It's
and so
interesting.
They all their lives in New Mexico.
Never
all
come
their
and
lives,
seen the Roswell.
Mexicans never been here. First time. So again, that's where I get energized and what I get to do in my
check
job.
that you're missing out. Yeah.
To bring. We were last night. Wonderful program at the Historical Society.
Fantastic.
Amy did such a great job for, our group, and the history. And did you know that we have a World Series organization from the 1950s?
The Lions Hondo.
Huge, great. Just those little fun facts that I get to share with these group of people. And of course, they're spending money. They're staying in hotels for 5 nights. They're buying food from these local restaurants, because we got to feed them breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And so again, it all, kind of goes.
And then we
full
tell
circle.
them, come back when you're not, doing work, and come spend the weekend and vacation here.
Because we show them just enough to where they want a little bit more.
Come out to Bottomless Lakes or Bitter Lake or one of these and check that out. I would also, and this is kind of a question for you. It's kind of because Roswell, we know we're a unique little town. I mean, like Juanita said, the aliens were internationally known. I mean, you could arguably go to anywhere in the globe, and you're going to find people that have heard of Roswell, New Mexico. But we're a town of 50,000, roughly. Since we've been fighting that for years, but we'll just say 50,000 just for neat and tidiness reasons. We're a town of 50,000, but we're a small town, but we have the issues and uniqueness of a larger town. Like, because we are a destination town, when it comes to Roswell, we're kind of that gateway for Southeast, and people come from Artesia, Carlsbad, even Ruidoso to come shop and do stuff here. And certainly with an airport that we have and the college and we're kind of a city with large city amenities, but small town feel. And so it's kind of a unique. So imagine as Leadership New Mexico, Roswell's kind of a unique thing to watch as opposed to other communities in New Mexico. Is that because we got a lot of similarities, but there's a weird uniqueness to our community? Or am I wrong?
No.
Am I saying Farmington's just like the Roswell here, or am I off on that?
Oh, no, you hit it straight on, because think about Roswell is just north of the Permian Basin, where if you want to take your family to Carlsbad Caverns, you can't find a hotel.
Sure.
Or you can't afford a hotel. So why not just stay in Roswell? And then we'll drive down there, visit, come back, because it's more affordable right here. So you're in a perfect position to feed those who are interested in what's happening down in the more southeast.
Sure.
To include high school sports.
Sure.
Sports. Roswell is very notorious for high school sports because, and the mayor will tell you, get Albuquerque to come here because we go there.
Yeah.
But you go there and kick our butts. I had the privilege of playing in the Wool Bowl in 1984, and we got our butt kicked.
You get a little farther north in the Rio Rancho. Those teams, they come to play. Cleveland Rio Rancho don't mess around.
I loved hearing the mayor's passion about the agriculture and the start of the wool warehouse and things people didn't know how big that industry was. The White family.
Sure.
That's legacy that nobody knew about. But now I'm hoping these people will take back. I know I will. My father-in-law retired as the state historian. I'm going to ask him about what he knows of this because it's the history, the lineage. I know a lot about NAMI because I'm retired from the National Guard.
Okay.
And we had tons of our the current Adjutant General of New Mexico, General Aguilar, is a NAMI graduate.
Yes, he is.
So there's a lot of connections all over this town, And I got to spend a lot of time here because as a native New Mexican and National Guardsman, Roswell is one of our strongest.
We have a great armory here.
We talked about this a little bit. They've been identified as a key security spot.
Okay.
Right, for national security.
Okay, in the bigger picture of things.
Of course, and it's because you have that beautiful runway. You have a lot of opportunities for things to happen here that most other cities don't.
Well, and that's the other thing too. And I don't know if y'all get to do any of that, but with the Walker Aviation Museum down at the airport there, and that history of the role that this community served during World War II and the Cold War and all that a lot of people don't realize that side of this history too. Right. And it's like, odds are pretty good if you were a B-17 crewman in World War II, you spent some time in Roswell on
Walker,
training.
right?
Yep,
Yeah,
exactly.
absolutely.
And so it's part of that lexicon, just like what you're saying here. So we do have a great thing, and it's great for us to find new and unique ways to present it to the world, and do it that way. So how much longer are you guys in town for?
Till Saturday.
Till Saturday.
Till Saturday. So we have a full schedule today, tomorrow, and then half day on Saturday.
Okay.
Or exit on Saturday.
Good deal. What's a couple of the places you're going to hit them over the next couple of days here?
So today we're at the Roswell Museum.
Yes.
So we're going to do that. Tonight we're going to learn a little bit more about real estate with Bill and Sandy Davis and the impact that has on our community.
Right.
And
it's a unique one here too with Artesian. Well, you know about this.
Yes. And then tomorrow we will be at New Mexico Military Institute Institute.
Yep.
We will be doing a tour there, letting them know all the history. We will be doing a cannabis tour at Pecos Valley Production.
Okay.
We will have.
I've never been there, but every person I know that's gone there, they're like blown away at like what they see.
Technology.
Yeah. I myself, but I know a couple people gone there like it's insane what they got going on over there.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah.
I've never been there, so I'm interested to see.
You know what I can add to that is I've learned now being a civilian for 4 years and being listening a lot about the cannabis production industry is the rules and regulations that have come down that you have to follow in the state. Like, I think they got that right.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of regulation, there's a lot of inspection, there's a lot that goes into, if you don't support the recreational, well, know that it is safe. And they do get fined heavily if they're cutting corners because they can't.
Sure.
They have to be, so this cannabis industry, this place we're going tomorrow, you'll see just how strict they have to follow guidelines in order to produce.
I would imagine it's the same style of strictness for alcohol, if they're distilling alcohol. Or,
labeling has to be right on. It cannot be deceiving in any way.
And that's really and to be honest, we can talk philosophically about drugs and weed and all that and good, bad, and different, but at the end of the day,
it's here.
It's here, and at this point, and the studies are there. If and this is my opinion and no one else's, if you're okay with people going and buying a 6-pack of beer and watching the football game and doing that, to be honest, going to the cannabis store and buying a joint or food or whatever they're into, and going home and doing the same thing is really not that different, to be honest, to me. But that, I know different people have different opinions, and you're all allowed to do that. But that's the way of the world, and you're going to have to be aware of that. And and I always say this: wait till the feds make it legal, and then you're going to see crazy, because then you're going to see guys like Budweiser and all the ones. Because the big problem, and if I'm wrong on this, throw it out there, the big problem is because it's not federal, you can't cross state lines with this stuff.
That's correct.
And the banking's screwed up. So really, it's a bunch of like Pecos Valley Pharmaceutical. They're kind of setting up as kind of, just to put people on a term they understand, like the McDonald's of cannabis for New Mexico. When the feds finally say, all right, it's legal, you're going to have the Pecos Valley Pharmaceuticals of all 50 states going, and then you're going to get guys like Marlboro and Budweiser and the big guns in there doing the same thing.
Sure.
And then you're gonna walk into 7-Eleven and everything else and see it just like.
And I think that's the holdback from the federal.
Yeah. Because once that happens, that's what's going to happen, and it's going to turn and it's going to happen, whether it happens next year, 10 years, or whenever. It's going to happen.
Sure.
It's just a matter of time. So you're going to have to get on board with it at some point here. So I do want to ask one more question.
Yeah.
If folks are listening and they're saying, dude, I want to get involved in Leadership New Mexico, what's prerequisites? How do they get started? What are the requirements? What can someone do to get more involved? Either attending the next session or getting involved in one of the different tiers of Leadership New Mexico.
If you're here in the southeast area, here's your number one connection.
Gotcha.
Yes. So we are currently taking applications for the local government program that will begin in March.
Okay.
So local government, again, includes anybody in the school system, school districts, county, municipal government, anybody like that. And it really focuses on the issues of what they do.
Gotcha.
School, county, municipality.
Gotcha.
Really hone in and focus on those things, have really great dialogue. They spend 2 sessions, one in Albuquerque and one in Santa Fe.
Okay.
That will start in March. So we're taking applications for that. And then the next group, which is both the Connect and the Core, those applications are due in May.
Okay.
And so the Core class, they actually have 6 sessions, again, taking them around the state so that they can learn what's happening in those communities.
Gotcha.
Those, again, due by the end of May. You do have to be in a leadership position or have some kind of traits.
So if you're obviously a government official
Yes.
or a
Mayor,
CEO
council,
or a
CEO,
business owner,
yes,
something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And then for Connect,
President of a college or something,
Yes. Actually, Actually, Dr. Powell is an alumni.
Dr. Powell is a class member of mine.
Yes, yes. And then the Connect program, which is the 40 and under young professionals from the age of 30 to 40 years old. They are the cream of the crop of their organizations,
Gotcha.
right? It's a little bit of a hard process to be selected. They do have to have a nomination letter and some recommendations,
Sure.
be actively involved in their community. But also the consideration of Leadership New Mexico is maybe it's that young professional that is right on the cusp and they need to learn some leadership skills,
Sure.
right? And they need to connect with other like-minded individuals that they can learn from and make that relationship. And so they take that into consideration.
Sure.
And so again, applications, you can also go to their website, leadershipnewmexico.org.
Okay.
And if not, please contact me. I'm more than happy to.
Yeah, just head on to City Hall and they'll be happy to answer those questions.
Absolutely.
And I'm guessing, like you said, talking about some of the requirements of being this is by design because
It is.
at the end of the day, you want to get people that are invested in the community, not people that are trying to check a box.
Correct.
Or have a personal desire and a growth.
Like using it as a
right.
Using it as a stepping stone to do better things, not as a stepping stone to say, okay, I'm trying to go from VP to P.
Right.
Putting some of this in my Leadership New Mexico in my background makes me look a lot more appealing. If that's what you're trying to do, they don't want you. They want people that are going to get involved, get active, and care, and get their hands a little dirty and get in the mud and let's fix these problems.
Well, leadership, it's all development.
Yes.
Right? It's developing your skills as a leader.
Yeah, absolutely.
It makes you better in your workplace. It makes you and your business known in the community as
absolutely.
upfront.
Well, this is the kind of stuff that sets the table for the growth and what's best for our state, our communities, and sets the table for the next generation to pass that baton to keep going on. It's that's why you guys have the 3 tiers. I'm guessing you got the emeritus, the elders, so to speak, that are kind of saying, good job, guys, but you might want to look at this.
Yes.
And don't forget, this is going to happen. You got to have a plan for that. And then you got the young bucks saying, yeah, we got this. This is the new way. We got it. And then they mind that meld together and they combine some new with old, and that's how it works.
Absolutely.
Then you got the young people that are kind of throwing their ideas, but learning at the same time and kind of soaking more than giving.
Yes, absolutely.
But please look and check it out if there's something that interests you. I imagine if someone's, especially if they're young people that are looking to pursue careers in whether it's as a public servant or as a CEO of a Fortune 500 company, start researching this, start learning, using the tools available to you. So who knows? So when you are, CEO in the Forbes magazine, we're all like, oh yeah, the guy from Roswell. Or that guy from
There's plenty of them.
Yeah. Juanita, is there anything city announcements? Anything we want to make sure while we got you here?
Sure. Yeah. Just one last thing. I just really again want to thank the citizens of Roswell and our local business partners for allowing these people to come into our community and feel welcomed and supporting this organization and just again supporting the tourism industry for this is what we do, and so we're glad to have them here. So thank you to all of our local businesses and sponsors. So
and we will be back.
Yes,
I'm not going to put you on the spot.
Back.
I'm going to put you on the spot. Favorite thing you've eaten so far since you've been here? Just curious. Any place you kind of got you like, oh dang, I got to make a note of that. Any restaurants or anything you hit up while you've been here?
I took him to Stellar this morning.
I tell you what, that coffee, I told her, there's Starbucks is everywhere, but Stellar is fantastic.
Yeah, they're great because they also do a lot of with the community, like it's that local business thing, and so they're letting groups meet in there and do all kind of stuff, and so it's a great little downtown hangout.
I am very partial though. Since I've been in the National Guard, we always tend when we come to TDY, got to go to the Cattle Baron. Got to hit the salad bar and hit that nice piece of meat.
Can't go wrong with steak.
Gotta love it. Gotta love it.
You can't be in a bad mood when you're eating steak. It's just impossible.
That's right.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much. Welcome.
Thank you.
And enjoy your last few days here.
Absolutely.
And anytime you and your organization are in town, look us up. We'd love to have you. Give us an update, talk, and just plug away for the next generation to be a part of it here too. And like I said, if anybody's listening, have any questions about Leadership New Mexico, just get a hold of Juanita here locally, and she'll be happy to put you in touch with who you need to, or get your application or whatever you have, she can help you with.
Yes.
So. Good deal. And, of course, don't forget, if you're looking for things to do in the city, don't forget RoswellConnect.com. That's your website for all fun things in the city.
Yes.
I mean, there's fun things at the regular website too. But if you want to go like to the aquatic center, to the zoo, you can get your passes and do all that through there. Sign up for your the different fall leagues and winter leagues for sports and things now.
We didn't cover that, but I will be back because we have a new program coming out that's going to be really seamless for everybody to get connected with the zoo, the museum, the golf course, and all of that. So
nice.
I'll be sharing more in the coming week.
All right, very good. And of course, if you want to do city government related stuff, roswell-nm.gov. You can pay your water bill. You ask questions of your city councilor, whatever you need. That's where you're going to find all.
Absolutely.
Thank you, guys. Well, I'm sure you got the next 20 things to go check out. We'll let you go do it. And hopefully the weather cooperates while you're here. I think we're going to be good. Now the wind's down, so I think it'll be better.
Yeah, they got cold. They got a little breezy.
Yeah, a little bit. Well, and we're not as well equipped as they are up north to deal with colder weather. So, all right, 8:51. Let's pause for news and a quick break. Don't go away.
Now your Pecos Valley News Update. I'm Jared Cirillo. Roswell police, often criticized for not being transparent enough, is now facing scrutiny for being too transparent. RPD now in the middle of an investigation into the killing of a knife-wielding man in front of a home on January 6th. Earlier this week, RPD released 2 videos showing the killing. Both videos completely unedited. Nicholas Acosta's family released a statement this week saying their trauma and grief is now compounded because they had no idea that the video was going public. Prosecutors say a failed GOP candidate accused of orchestrating a series of drive-by shootings at the homes of Democratic elected officials in New Mexico's largest city is a danger to the community and should be detained pending trial. They filed a motion Wednesday asking that Solomon Pena be held without bond. He appeared via video shackled for an initial court hearing. As a judge explained, he would remain in custody pending a detention hearing scheduled for next month. You're up to date. I'm Jared Cirillo reporting.
I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton with your Pecos Valley weather. We have a little cold front dropping in from the northeast, and that'll give us breezy conditions today, and fairly cool temperatures. Will be staying in the mid-50s with some sun and some clouds. Pretty cold for the overnight hours, 25 to 30 on our low and a few lingering clouds. We'll bounce back to about 60 for the afternoon high on Friday, and sunny. Looks pretty good for the weekend, but it will be cool, highs in the 50s. That's your latest forecast. I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton.
With the Wall Street Business Report, I'm Bill Alexander. The S&P 500 and the Dow lost almost 2% on Wednesday, their biggest daily drops in more than a month, after weak economic data fueled recession worries, while hawkish comments from Federal Reserve officials soured investor moods further. U.S. retail sales fell by the most in a year in December, pulled down by declines in purchases of motor vehicles and a range of other goods, putting consumer spending and the overall economy on a weaker growth path heading into 2023. Amazon is cutting jobs in the United States, Canada, and Costa Rica as part of its plan to lay off 18,000 employees, the e-commerce giant said in a memo to staff. The layoffs are the latest in the United States technology sector, with companies cutting their bloated workforce and slashing costs to reverse pandemic-era excess and prepare for a worsening global economy. For the Wall Street Business Report, I'm Bill Alexander in Washington.
It takes a long time to develop trust. At LaGrone Funeral Chapel, they've been earning your trust for decades. They understand how important it is to friends and family to celebrate a life in the way you choose. The professionals at LaGrone will ease your stress and anxieties. They'll provide the guidance you need to select a service that's appropriate. And that's what they've been doing for generations, earning your trust and doing the right thing. LaGrone Funeral Chapel and Crematory, 900 South Main in Roswell. Online at LaGroneFuneralChapels.com.
Edge Safety and Services LLC in Artesia, New Mexico has an immediate opening for a safety technician. Position requires a clean driving record and must be able to pass a drug and alcohol screen. Edge Safety offers great pay with IRA benefits and employer contribution towards health benefits. Please email resumes to edgecoding@yahoo.com or apply in person at 402 West Main Street inside the Edge Safety and Services facility. Edge Safety and Services LLC is an equal opportunity employer.
Hi, I'm Dr. Keanu Caraballo Dental. Same-day smiles are what we do.
My passion is helping patients chew, talk, and live with confidence. That's why I'm one of the few doctors in the U.S. who can create beautiful same-day smiles with the latest digital implant technology. This procedure is life-changing. Just ask Sean.
Hi, I'm Sean. I've been that voice that you've heard on the radio for most of my life, but I'm also a dad to 2 amazing kids. I've had a million reasons to smile, but in all my old pictures, I was never smiling. Truth is that life of improper care and being dealt a bad hand genetically left me practically with no teeth. It affected everything from the way I ate, the way I talked, and of course how I interacted with people. And that's where Dr. Keon and Carabelli stepped in. They eased my fears. They explained every step of the process in a way that I could understand, and they made me feel almost like I was part of the team. And now, I can't stop smiling. I have so much more confidence, and I love looking in the mirror now. I can't explain how much of a difference Dr. Keon's dental implant process made for me.
Our team can help you find your smile too. Come see us at Carabelli Dental, 575-622-4455.
In John 13, the Bible tells the story of Jesus washing the disciples' feet. This occurred very shortly before Jesus would be crucified. He chose this crucial time to perform a servant's job for his followers. There's an interesting scripture right before he does this that reads like this: Jesus knew that his Father had put all things under his power and that he had come from God and was returning to God. So he got up from the meal and proceeded to wash the disciples' feet. Jesus knew that God had called him back for this very purpose, to serve the world. He knew that he would shortly be back with his Father through the ultimate act of service, which was death on a cross. He also knew that he would be resurrected and go back to his Father for eternity. After washing their feet, Jesus tells them to wash one another's, to serve each other, and I think to serve the world. To be Jesus in the world so that those around you see how to belong to Jesus and experience his saving grace. Serving is one of the ways to meet our mission of knowing Jesus and making Jesus known. We invite you to come and join us in this mission.
Join us at the Country Club Road Church of Christ for worship at 10 a.m. on Sunday, located on the corner of Country Club and Washington in Roswell.
Here's a Mornings with Mike Winters fun fact. Did you know you share your birthday with at least 9 million other people in the world? Your birthday isn't feeling so special now, is it? Here's Mike Winters.
And good morning. It is 8:57. There's a couple of them. Stay tuned next hour, about 9:15 or so. Dennis Kentai will be joining us for his monthly visit from the district attorney's office. And joining Mr. Kentai this time will be Deputy District Attorney Hunter Spindle. So we're going to talk a little bit about Mr. Kentai. You like that?
Oh, golly. Roll up my pants. It's too late to save my shoes.
Well, I'm not going to lie. I have to do that to avoid me saying your former title, just accidentally spewing it out there. So
many former titles. The guy can't hold a job.
You hired this guy?
I had no control of that.
Yeah, that's right. He denies all about it.
So they're going to join us officially next hour, and we'll talk a little bit about, since we have you here, I think, kind of talking a little about the chain of command a little bit and how everything works, and kind of give people a little peel back of the curtain on kind of some of that stuff. So we'll talk a little bit about that next hour here. Do want to put on your radar a couple events this weekend. Tomorrow night. No, today's Thursday. Tomorrow's Friday. Saturday night. I'm wishful thinking. Right. Thinking it's Friday. No. Saturday night. They're having a big dance out at Westminster Presbyterian Church. Come enjoy Cibolo Springs, along with Cindy Richardson's 50s and 60s rock and roll and Marvin Roberts country western. It's only $5. And come out 6 to 9. They're going to have refreshments and usually pretty good eats and everything. So come out and dance and bring out your dancing boots or shoes, depending on a rock and roll or country person, whatever you're into. And come bring a date or come stag and meet a date, whatever you want to do. Come out and have some fun. Again, that's Saturday night, 6 to 9 p.m. at Westminster Presbyterian Church, 2801 West 4th Street. Come out for their fun dance. Also, if you are pro-life, they are inviting... Oh, sorry, I thought they were grabbing you one. Sorry about that. Sorry. We're bad hosts. But I do want to remind folks, if you're pro-life, they are inviting folks to come out to a prayer service Sunday evening out at Christ Church, 2200 Sycamore. Of course, legislative session going. They're just asking for folks that... inviting folks to come and pray. pray for our leaders and pray for that and all that there. So that's Sunday, 7 p.m. at Christ Church, 2200 Sycamore. You're listening to 106.5 Roswell's Talk FM, KEND, Roswell, Mexico. We'll be back on the other side of news.
Can't keep borrowing without either raising the limit or suspending it. The Biden administration and the Democrats want to increase the government's borrowing authority, but Republicans say not so fast. They insist on some spending cuts. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy says, let's talk it over.
McCarthy said, I'd like to sit down with all the leaders and especially the president and start having discussions, telling reporters that the leaders have an estimated 6 months before the U.S. will not be able to cover its bills without a hike in the Treasury's authority to borrow.
Capitol Hill correspondent Bernie Bennett, Texas GOP Congressman Dan Crenshaw.
There are going to be differences. This is going to be difficult times with the budget and the debt ceiling. Those are going to be difficult times, but I do think we'll get through them. I'm a little bit more optimistic than most.
Crenshaw speaking with the Salem Radio Network. President Biden is headed to storm-battered California today.
Biden, accompanied by FEMA Administrator Deanne Criswell, Governor Gavin Newsom, and other officials, is set to survey storm-ravaged areas via helicopter on a trip between Santa Clara and Santa Cruz counties. He'll meet with residents in Capitola, a town next to Santa Cruz that's been hit by mudslides, river flooding, and high surf.
Our heart is with all the families in the communities that are hurting.
In the early evening, he'll deliver remarks from a seaside state park in Aptos. Jennifer King, Washington.
New Zealand's Prime Minister is calling it quits. Jacinda Ardern says February 7th, her last day in office as Prime Minister. Number of unemployment applications fell 15,000 last week to 190,000, a 16-week low. Comes despite the Fed's interest rate hikes aimed at slowing the economy to fight inflation. Stocks falling on Wall Street. The Dow's down 229 points. The Nasdaq off 131 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Sleep Financial Group is not a law firm.
This story is called The Ugly Truth About Timeshare. If you think you've done your family a favor by buying a timeshare, you need my help. Hello, I'm Chuck McDowell, CEO and founder of Wesley Financial Group. 10 years ago, I started helping folks cancel their timeshare, and in the process started what's now called the timeshare cancellation industry. Timeshare is the only thing that you can buy that you can't tell me how much it's going to cost or when it's going to end. When you buy a timeshare, you give them a blank check to fill out any amount they want for annual maintenance and assessment fees. The crazy thing is, this never ends. Even when you die, your family's now going to be stuck with this burden. Stop the insanity today. Call my office now. If we take you as a client, I guarantee we'll cancel your timeshare or you'll pay nothing.
Call for your free information kit. 800-626-5252. That's 800-626-5252. 800-626-5252.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has been told he must fire a key cabinet ally. We have the latest from the Media Line's Michael Friedson.
Following a Supreme Court ruling that it is extremely unreasonable to appoint as cabinet minister a politician who pled guilty to tax fraud and served prison time for other corruption charges, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is attempting to hold together his nascent government. The minister in question, meanwhile, remains defiant as members of his ultra-Orthodox party threaten to withdraw its 11 members from Netanyahu's coalition and bring down the government if Aryeh Deri is removed. Opponents expect Netanyahu will activate his legislative majority to change the law and nullify the court's decision, thus creating an example of how Netanyahu's judicial reform will harm Israeli democracy. I'm Michael Friedson, Town Hall News, Jerusalem.
News and analysis at themedialine.org and townhall.com. An attorney for Tesla shareholders hopes to get Elon Musk on the stand when a trial resumes tomorrow in a lawsuit against the Tesla CEO.
In Wednesday's opening statement in a court in San Francisco, Musk was depicted as either a liar who callously jeopardized the savings of regular people or a well-intended visionary. Plaintiffs argue that Tesla stock would not have swung so widely in August 2018 if Musk had not tweeted that he had enough funding to take Tesla private. The rally in Tesla's stock price ended a week later after it became apparent that Musk did not have the funding. I'm Donna Warder.
As New York opens more legal outlets for recreational marijuana, some public health experts want more scrutiny on how marijuana products are being marketed to teens and young adults. Flavored nicotine is outlawed by more states and cities, but similar bans often don't apply to marijuana. More on these stories at townhall.com.
a wide, wide world of sports is going on here.
I promise you, whatever scum did this, not one man in this force will rest for 1 minute until he's behind bars. Now let's grab a bite to eat. Yeah, come on.
I feel the hot wind on my shoulder and the touch of a world that is older. I hit the switch and check the number. I leave it on and then I slumber. I hear the rhythm ringing through it. Flamenco guitar and cumbia music. I hear the talking of the DJ. The traveler said, what does he say? I'm on a Mexican radio. I'm on a Mexican radio.
Broadcasting live from high atop the J.P. White Building in downtown Roswell, New Mexico. It's Mornings with Mike Winters on 106.5 Roswell's Talk FM.
Is that what I sound like when I talk?
Now, here's your host, Mike Winters.
And good morning. It is 6 minutes after 9 o'clock. Welcome to hour number 3.
Chris Inviernos.
Mornings with Mike Winters, right here on 106.5 Roswell's Talk FM. Other host. Pretty funny. Just looking at there.
Other host.
I'm Dennis Kentine Hunter. I'm two people. I'm they now. I can use the pronoun they.
That's right. You are them they. Congratulations.
Thanks. Happy Thursday, everybody. Hope you all are having a wonderful day so far. I think the weather's nicer than yesterday.
Yeah.
At least it's not windy.
Sans wind.
At least it's still. Yeah, it's got that just enough breeze.
What
right.
the heck?
Yeah,
we're not shoveling snow by the foot.
Not complaining.
Let's be happy.
Not complaining. Not one bit complaining. But it is.
It's funny how, thanks to Facebook, we all get to collectively every year remember that time when we were all just in panic mode under a foot and a half of snow.
Good time.
Every single year. But it's like, remember where were you? Well, I mean, you were stuck there for a week, but where were you?
Yeah.
That's the one time I walked through the snow with bags on my feet to get to the grocery store to buy food.
Yeah. I kept. My wife during Goliath took a video of me. I was shoveling the driveway, and she took some video I didn't know, I guess, and then it ended up on Facebook. And so now every year I get a reminder of me shoveling that video, and I'm looking there like, I'm just tired. Watch me do this part.
Send it to all your haters. Be like, see, I worked out.
Well, it took me like all day to shovel it because it was like, was it 2 feet of snow? Or
yeah. We got like 2 feet. December of 15.
Yeah,
we got pounded with a ton of snow.
Yeah, and I remember it was because I did it like in these worked for like a half hour, 40 minutes. I'd go back inside and go back out.
Right, just to thaw out.
Eventually, I got it done, but it took all.
Well,
day.
the worst part of that, was the drifts, was because it was all drifting off to the side of the street. So you see 4 feet snow drifts off on the side of most roads.
Yeah, we don't know what to do with that stuff.
Nope.
It was weird. So they're like, "When's the snowplow come?" I was like, "What's that?" You don't even own one.
Well, that's because I had sold them all. Remember that one?
That's right. You sold all
there at the time, and the rumor was that I had sold the snow removal equipment and had pocketed the money. That one was all over Facebook too.
I have a hard time forgetting this one. I had one time on another morning show said, "Don't worry, folks. The salters and scrapers are out." And I got a text from a listener that said, "There are no salters and scrapers in Roswell. We don't have any of those things."
No.
You'd be lucky if you even get sand thrown on the road.
Exactly.
I told this story like a week ago. Like, we have one guy named Bob who goes out and does this with some rock salt.
Well, I'm proud to say I own a snow shovel.
Sure.
There you go.
That's the thing is, everybody was taking out their snow shovel, or in some cases their brooms, just to show how deep the snow was there.
No. When my wife and I got married and got moved in the house, and I was like, all right, I'm the man of the house now. I'm supposed to own things like tools and stuff.
And so driver set the snow
I shop
shovel
here in New Mexico, and I bought a snow shovel, and I've used it like 5 times, but
But I just, because I grew up in Maryland, D.C., I was like, everyone has like a snow shovel, and I didn't realize no one owns them around here, and it was just, and now every time we need that snow shovel, neighbors, hey, can I borrow your shovel? Can I borrow your shovel? Yes, I can. That thing's about 20 years old now.
There you go.
20-year-old snow shovel.
In the land of the shovelless residents, the man with the one snow shovel is king.
And it survived like 5 moves. It's pretty impressive. I'm gonna bury with that thing.
I would struggle with, should I pack this in a move? But yeah.
I've not got rid of it.
You kept it alive. Well played. Thing's got tenure now.
It does. Mm-hmm. It does. It gets a better seat in the house than I do. Let me give you a rundown on what we got going on this hour of the show. Here in just a few, we'll get you up to date with the weather in case you don't need the snow shovel. You're okay there. Then here in just a little bit, we'll have joining us from the district attorney's office, of course, our deputy district attorney, Hunter Spindle, and then Dennis Kentai as well. And we're going to get updates, talk a little bit about the DA's office, and I guess you could say learn a little bit how the sausage is made, so to speak. So
there you go.
We'll talk a little bit about that with them. Later on, we'll get you up to date with news of the local variety, your Hannity update as well, Wall Street business update, and whatever else we can conjure up for this hour of the show. Before we do any of that, let's check in with Steve, an actual meteorologist, for your weather.
I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton with your Pecos Valley weather. We have a little cold front dropping in from the northeast, and that'll give us breezy conditions today, and fairly cool temperatures. Will be staying in the mid-50s with some sun and some clouds. Pretty cold for the overnight hours, 25 to 30 on our low and a few lingering clouds. We'll bounce back to about 60 for the afternoon high on Friday, and sunny. Looks pretty good for the weekend, but it will be cool, highs in the 50s. That's your latest forecast. I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton.
Thank you, Steve. It's trying to do something. No, I don't want to restart now. Pick a time. Remind me tomorrow. Just right at the time I'm about to look at it, it tells me you're going to reboot. Currently 37 here in Roswell. Humidity's at 44%. Winds currently out of the northwest at 9 miles per hour. Today, a lot like yesterday, except no wind or less wind. Partly cloudy, 57 for a high. Winds out of the west, 5 to 10 miles per hour, as opposed to 20 to 30, gusting to 40, or whatever we had yesterday. Tonight, partly cloudy, overnight low of 24, south winds 5 to 10. For you Friday, we'll hit 60, allegedly. Sunny, highs near 60, winds out of the north 5 to 10 early, shifting to the southwest and increasing 15 to 20 tomorrow afternoon. So that officially falls in the breezy category for us. Friday night, mostly clear, overnight low of 29 degrees, west winds 15 to 20, and then for the weekend, sunny and 53 on Saturday, northwest winds 15 to 20, sunny and 59 on Sunday. Remember they were talking about rain chances like Saturday, and then all that's gone. Now it's been whittled down to a 20% chance of rain, maybe Monday night, which means that'll probably be gone by tomorrow night. So just a heads up. All right, it is 13 minutes after 9 o'clock. We got a quick 3-minute commercial break, pay a few bills, and then we'll be back on the other side. Don't go away. You're listening to Mornings with Mike Winters.
Wakefield Oil Company is a name you can rely on with full service at the pump the way it used to be. You can expect service in just 15 seconds. They offer bulk fuel and oil services and even diesel exhaust fluid. Wakefield Oil Company will deliver to farms, ranches, dairies, the oil fields, and more with dependable service you can count on. So the next time you need service or delivery, go with the name that locals have trusted since 1983. Wakefield Oil Company, 311 South Virginia in Roswell. Let them earn your business.
Pecans are a big deal here in Chaves County. We have some of the biggest orchards in the country, and lots of us have pecan trees in our yards. Hi, this is Jim Gill from Roswell Seed Company. Whether you have one pecan tree or 1,000 of them, this time of year, every pecan tree needs fertilizer. So come see us at Roswell Seed Company, and we'll get you fixed up with the right fertilizer for your pecan trees, so that next year, your nuts will be big and beautiful. And that's all I'm going to say about that.
Life can be full of risks. One thing you shouldn't take a risk with ever is your family's health insurance. If you're self-employed or you now need affordable health insurance, you need to make this free call right now and see how the Health Insurance Helpline can help you get it. We specialize in helping the self-employed and people just like you that need affordable health insurance to get it. We have short and long-term health insurance plans, and some even cover dental, vision, and prescription drugs. Don't take a risk with your family's health insurance. It's not worth worth it? If you're self-employed or now need affordable health insurance, call right now and learn for free how to get it. Listen, affordable health insurance plans for everyone just like you are a free phone call away. So give us a shout right now.
800-503-3735. 800-503-3735. 800-503-3735. That's 800-503-3735.
Jennifer from Trustmark Roofing here, and I can tell you it's not always easy being a female in a male-dominated business like roofing. I remember one time I was at a meeting to bid on the roof for a local college, and it was me and 13 men. Well, I won that bid, and I'd like to win your business too. My dad was a contractor, and I've been around building and roofing my whole life. I'm licensed and bonded, and I've forgotten more about roofing than most roofers ever knew in the first place. But what really sets Trustmark apart is an obsessive attention to detail that ensures that everything goes smoothly the first time. I promise we will treat you right with respect and we will make you happy. So yeah, it might be a bit odd for a woman to own a roofing company, but give us a try. Let us give you an estimate for your roof. I think you'll be glad you called. For all your roofing needs, call us at 575-755-ROOF or find us online at TrustmarkRoofPros.com.
Trustmark Roofing, we put people first.
Here's a Mornings with Mike Winters fun fact. There are 293 ways to make change for $1. Try all 293 on the guy who keeps borrowing money from you. Here's Mike Winters.
I love doing that to that guy. Good morning. It is 16 minutes after 9 o'clock. And joining us in studio this morning from the District Attorney's Office, I keep saying district, Deputy District Attorney. That's where we'll get it out right. Hunter Spindle and also Dennis Kentai joining us as well. Good morning, guys. Officially. How's everybody doing today? Good. A little tired. I imagine you guys are. This is something that you got. Everyone watches the news. You see, there's so much going on in the court systems and stuff. But you guys have to wade through all that and stuff and go through. So yes, the job's a government job, the 9-to-5 type thing. But you guys are just inundated with so much work that it really you're spending your day triaging. I kind of get the feeling sometimes.
In a lot of ways. My attorney, I technically run the office.
Gotcha.
While I am the deputy district attorney, I'm technically the acting chief of the Roswell office.
Gotcha.
But most of my attorneys have 200 cases plus, and that's not including our intake numbers, which are large to say the least.
Right. I would imagine, and so this is we've talked about when we started doing our segments here.
Yep.
When Dennis kind of said this is why I was brought into the DA's office to help kind of triage, let's put a priority list on our cases we need to do something about right now and ones we can kind of wait on a little bit or decide whether it's a prosecutable case or not.
Right, and I have Dennis looking into cases both for me, for the district attorney, Diana Luce, as well as the chief deputy district attorney in Carlsbad. His name's Patrick Melvin.
Okay.
He has some cases up here as well.
Okay.
Dennis has kind of been looking into those cases, and he helps me a lot since I'm the primary prosecutor on all of our homicides in Roswell now. I have him kind of being my go-to man on, I need a case brief on this.
Like
yesterday.
All right, to do a movie lawyer comparison. If you've ever seen, now it's a John Grisham, A Time to Kill.
Okay.
Time to Kill. We all know that movie. Do you know that movie?
No.
Time to Kill.
Oh wow, it's a good movie.
So then he'll answer this question. So is Dennis? So if Matthew McConaughey's you,
right?
Is he like Sandra Bullock?
Wait a minute. Whoa.
Like the one who's gathering.
Definitely not as pretty.
Let's not go there. This is not right.
Kidding. I'd be happy to have Sandra Bullock in my office.
Yeah. All right. Okay. We're moving on.
But joking aside, but like that person that kind of gets you information, helps us.
He's an investigator essentially now for our office.
Yeah. That's what I mean. Jokes aside,
is that your official title? I don't even know if that's your official title.
I'm a program specialist. Is the official title.
Which means he can do everything.
Yeah,
he does everything.
You just wherever there's a hole in the wall, you kind of fill that hole. There.
Kind of the business card says, special programs under my name, which just kind of has an MIB kind of tone to it.
It means whatever we need him for.
Yeah, basically whatever he wants me to do. Yeah. Go here, go there.
Gotcha. Okay.
Go forth.
But we joke. I'm kind of curious. Like you mentioned, you're kind of in charge of your batch of lawyers in this district.
Correct.
Here. Can you kind of explain and break that down? How everything's kind of categorized and what districts where and who's under whose chain of command? I know
Sure.
For us it gets confusing. You're like, I see a district attorney. He's like, well, how many of you are there?
Right.
Kind of maybe put that in layman's terms for a little bit, if you don't mind.
So Diana Luce is the district attorney. Under her, she has 3 offices.
Mm-hmm.
Now, most jurisdictions in New Mexico aren't multi-county, whereas the 5th Judicial District Attorney's Office is.
Are we one of the only ones, or
there's a couple. There's not very many. But
I'm guessing it's based on population and
correct and size. So the 5th Judicial District, which also includes the courts as well, has Eddy County, Lee County, and Chavis County, all under it.
Okay.
So Diana Luce, the district attorney, is in charge of all 3 offices. She takes cases in all 3 offices.
Okay.
And then she has deputies beneath her.
Okay.
Patrick Melvin is the chief deputy district attorney. He is in Carlsbad.
Okay.
It used to be that there was a chief in every office.
Okay.
Well, right now we have 1 chief. Not to say that couldn't change in the near future.
Sure. But I imagine there's a deputy chief or someone that answers to you in each office.
Right. Right. So
Gotcha.
I'm the deputy in this office. I'm the only one in this office currently.
Gotcha.
From my understanding, we will be getting another one at some point, and some titles may change around with that. But there's another deputy below Patrick Melvin in the Carlsbad office.
Okay.
There's also a deputy who's in charge of Lee County's office.
Okay.
As well. There's no chief deputy over there, and there's no chief deputy here in Chavis.
Okay.
But right now, that is in flux because of the heavy turnover that the office constantly has.
Well, I would imagine too that just based on populations, you probably have more attorneys and things in this office because of probably more caseload and stuff than, say, the Eddy. Or am I way off there?
Well,
I figure
it used to be.
Okay, is it the balance shifting a little bit?
Yes.
Or? Okay.
So right now, Lee County actually has more attorneys.
Yeah, I didn't think about that with the oil boom and everything else.
Well, realistically, I think it's just how it ended up falling in the sense that the attorneys that were in this office, we had heavy turnover.
Okay.
I mean, I was in Carlsbad originally, and when we had 3 people leave essentially in this office all at one time, I mean, back to back to back, Diana talked to me and she said, I want you to go up here and help lead this office. Now, originally it was going to be me and another deputy kind of tag teaming. Well, she accepted another job at another county, another district about a month afterwards.
So you got a big extra pile of extra help and a workload there on you. So,
It all just kind of dumped on me. I was like, okay. She's like, yep, you're the man in charge now, so you're the guy. And I'm like, all right.
And you've got how many guys and gals working for you? That's guys and gals.
I think now, if I remember correctly, there's 5 below me.
Okay.
And you should have?
We should have 7.
Okay. So any attorneys looking for jobs out there, the district attorney's office is hiring.
Oh, we definitely need that. I think my office is technically it's 1.5 people low because we have a part-time district attorney currently.
Gotcha.
So theoretically, we need one more full-time position in Roswell.
Gotcha.
Eddy County in Carlsbad on the other hand has like 4 open spots.
So they really could use some attorneys down there.
Right. Well, and when I moved up here, Anne Marie Lewis, Judge Anne Marie Lewis, she became judge out of that office. She and I worked hand in hand together, tag team on a lot of cases. And then basically I took this job and she became judge, and they went down 2 people.
Sure.
Like that.
And just to get kind of philosophical here just a little bit, I mean, is
Is it just a lack of bodies? Like we don't have enough qualified people to fill these positions? Is that an issue, or is it just people are finding better opportunities? Because let's face it, if you're a lawyer, and I would imagine it's kind of like private practice, more money. You know what I mean? You're battling. People get their law degree and they're saying I can make more money in the private sector than in the government sector. So I imagine you're combating that anyway.
Right.
But
the biggest issue I would say here is probably that there's only one law school, for instance.
Okay.
So there's not enough
training opportunities.
Not enough people coming out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And those that do come out of the law school in New Mexico want to stay in Bernalillo, Santa Fe, Albuquerque.
They want to come
area.
down to the sticks.
Right. Yeah, or go to Las Cruces, that sort of thing.
Sure.
Yeah.
And we get people coming from Texas and myself, I came from Virginia.
Yeah.
And granted, I grew up in a small town, so this wasn't a big change for me.
It's almost something like, how like within the healthcare industry, how they're always bringing
Same thing.
I mean,
right.
Do we have to do the same thing in the legal world? Say, hey, let's go to law schools and say, come young lawyers, come see our community and come set up shop in our areas and come work for our city.
Well, and that's what we have to do sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, one of our the Patrick Melvin, actually, the chief deputy in Carlsbad, it's either this week or next week, I can't remember exactly. He's going out to D.C. to try to recruit people.
Gotcha.
Because, we need prosecutors here. And
hey, just tell them, do you like driving in this garbage that you call D.C.? You're from D.C.
Yeah.
You've spent enough time there to know. That would be my selling point. Do you hate this?
Well, that was one of the
Come sell us.
one of the big selling points for me.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the private sector job, in a small town, you can really make good money.
Yeah.
But I don't know how, I can't really speak about in Albuquerque, but when I worked privately as a defense attorney before I entered and started working for the state, I can tell you that some parts of the state are still good old boy systems in the sense, it's like if you don't have the name recognition, you don't get that.
Sure.
Those clients to come in.
Sure, absolutely.
So you can struggle. I know for me, like I was a really good defense attorney, but I struggled to get the clients because I was a brand new attorney.
Sure. Well, yeah, you're all fighting for the same nut, so to speak. So, and let's face it, you got all your ROM bills and everybody throwing their $50,000 in commercial advertising at you, and that's how people think, and they're like, "Oh, I'm in trouble. Give me that ROM bill guy."
I hated it too. I hated it.
That's what we're talking about. On the prosecution side, though, I'm kind of curious too because obviously there's that the grass is greener syndrome, and that's one of the things you guys always fight as attorneys, but I would imagine too is the emotional side of it too. 'Cause I can't imagine you guys. You're in law enforcement and the things you've seen over the years, but as a DA, there's cases that probably make your stomach turn sometimes, and the things that you see and hear and the evidence. I think everyone's not cut out for that kind of thing. So
no.
How much does that come into play where it's like, I'm a prosecutor, but burnout is a huge issue. Is that a big problem as a prosecutor?
It is. Well, burnout is especially apparent for most prosecutors.
Sure.
It takes, I would say, it takes a different type of person to be able to separate the emotion from what you say I legally can and cannot do.
Right.
My job as a prosecutor, emotion needs to be in there a little bit, but that's more for trial. The biggest thing that I have to do, and I try to tell my prosecutors is, be empathetic. Try when you're talking to victims, but you got to try to leave emotion as much as possible out of it.
Sure.
And when it plays well for a jury,
sure,
it's really great for that. But when I'm talking to a family who has whose family member's been killed or someone's been raped or something of that sort, those are really hard topics to talk with someone. So I have to address it and be like, look, you try to empathize as much as possible, but try to separate and compartmentalize the emotion and look at it like, this is what the evidence shows. This is what the case law says. This is what the statute says. What am I legally able to do? Does it fit? Can I, is this a case I can go to trial? Is the evidence?
Well, and the emotion side, I imagine, is more important in the sentencing. Whereas, you know, when we're talking about are you guilty or not guilty of a crime, it's really night and day. It's like, does the evidence support that? And regardless how you feel about the evidence, if the evidence supports it, then you got to prosecute. Now, what kind of sentences this person get? That's where I think the emotion comes in. Is this a weird, unique thing, or is this something where this guy's going to keep doing this or whatever? You know what I mean?
I mean, well, the guidelines on sentencing are pretty much completely up to the judge. I mean,
Sure.
he's going to make the pitch. But this is what I wanted to talk about is that he's got the hardest job.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my role, I do a review of the case, and I'll give it to Hunter or Tim or one of the ones, and sometimes it's not there.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Sometimes I'll go in, and Hunter and I have had these discussions,
Sure.
and I'll say, this isn't going to make it. I don't have to tell the family. He gets to do
Right.
that.
And it's hard to explain to
and
them.
that family wants the perpetrator drawn and quartered on the county lawn.
Right. Yeah.
That's the hardest part of
And you
my
don't
job.
blame them because you feel and empathize with them.
Right.
But this is New Mexico, and it's beyond a reasonable doubt is a serious hurdle to get over. Now, we've got great people here, and I'm saying we got good investigators. I'm very impressed with the PD and the SO and state police, but they can't create miracles.
Absolutely.
Sometimes it's just not there.
Sure.
And
that's the beauty of this country's legal system. You have to be proved to be on them, and that's how it should be, and that's a good thing. Yes, it does stink when you know and looks like a duck, talks like a duck, but if the evidence can't support it, you are not guilty, and you hate it sometimes, but thank God that's how we have it, because it could be a lot worse.
And the only caveat I would say to that is New Mexico, however, though, is extremely defendant friendly. The laws
Gotcha.
here are so, and that makes my job even harder because
Sure.
you know, looking at most states in the country, some of the laws here are incredibly laxed in the sense of what I can do as a prosecutor.
Sure.
You know, so some people will be like, well, I don't understand. This is what this is. And I'm like, yeah, if it happened in Texas, this would be a different story.
Sure.
But the case law here doesn't, you know, I'm constrained by it.
And I would argue, and this is a philosophical discussion we could have any, but I would argue that by default, the criminals know this. People that are constantly doing criminal acts know.
I think they sense it.
They're not going to really punish me. Yeah, I might spend a couple months in jail.
Yeah.
But I'm going to be back. Hell, I'm going to kill somebody, and I'll get arrested. More likely, I'll be out tomorrow.
Well, it
We're
takes
going
the
to
point is
trial.
when you have, I mean, there's a lot of drugs in this area.
Sure.
And that's why we have what's called a HIDTA position, the high intensity drug trafficking area attorney. We have an attorney that is specifically just for that.
Sure.
In all of our offices, and we get federal and state funding that goes towards that. And I've literally listened to tapes, you know, phone calls or talking to, you know, other people saying, oh, well, I run drugs through here because I'll do like 4 years and it's fine.
Yeah.
Because New Mexico's easy.
The juice is worth the squeeze there. They're like, the punishment is not
light.
that compared to the money I'm making. I'm certainly not going to live this large working at Allsup's. You know what I mean? And that's the mindset. The risk is worth the money then to them,
Right.
or whatever. And quite frankly, they ain't wrong. If they're going to, you know, I mean, I'm not saying that what they're doing is good, but if no one's going to lock them up and punish them, then why should they stop?
and the sad thing is it bleeds over into violent crimes too.
Sure.
The other huge area I would argue is domestic violence. And we talked a little bit about this with Gina, is that these victims who come in and then through whatever means the perpetrator gets to them and they back off and it escalates. And that's, I would argue, one of the most heartbreaking situations because it can escalate to the worst situation.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
And we have, and excuse me for kind of saying this, but sometimes we have people who have called law enforcement multiple times.
Sure.
And you get to a point where I see their name and I'm like, well, that person's not going to show up.
Sure.
And you hate to feel that way, but you almost get a little jaded on it.
Absolutely.
And you're like, well, this person, cries wolf every time, but and there's evidence of it, but she is unwilling to testify, or he's unwilling to testify, and then it makes our jobs hard because. Especially when you're trying to deal with like batteries and domestic violence situations,
Absolutely.
It's like we believe, and I'm a strong believer of this, domestic violence can lead, and a lot of times does lead to homicides,
Absolutely.
murder of a loved one. It's
a cycle. Domestic violence is a cycle, and if you were an abuser or abused as a kid, the likelihood of you being abused as adults very high, and it's an endless cycle here, and it goes right into what you're talking about. If they're doing this now, more than likely they're going to do something more heinous down the road.
Right.
I would say a vast majority of our homicides involve individuals who have some kind of relationship. There's occasional ones where there's an interaction that just came up, but most of the time it's going to be somebody, sibling, spousal relationship.
Especially more now, because it used to be probably a little bit more drug related, but now it's kind of shifted slightly more to domestic violence situations. At least the numbers that we've had recently.
Sure. And I would imagine the times we live and all that is contributing to that mental health, with COVID. And this is something that, we haven't really even touched on yet, is the fact that you guys are way playing catch up from COVID still. That's kind of, crime doesn't say, oh, sorry, we'll lay off for a little bit while you get caught up on the caseload here.
Right.
And
crime doesn't stop.
Yeah, exactly. And then so you've got a bunch of people holed up in homes and things for a couple of years, and they get tired of looking at each other. Alcohol, drugs, whatever gets into play, and fights happen. Things, and, it's a recipe for disaster. And we've had a much higher proclivity of this stuff happening just because of COVID and things like that. And I would even argue, even though we're not all holed up in houses anymore, that still carried over. That mindset, the people,
it did.
And the courts got, you want to touch
bunched up. The court, I mean, you got to think about it. For a certain amount of time, courts weren't hearing cases at all. Then when they did, everything was over video, and most stuff is still over video.
We all remember I'm Not a Cat.
right. Which is one of the funniest videos ever. Yeah. Your Honor, I'm not a cat. I know you're not a cat. I couldn't tell you how many relatives I had send that to me. Like, have you seen this? I'm like, yes, I have.
Just a time or two.
I've watched it like 9 times now, still laughing at it. But yeah, I mean, it bunched it up, and we had cases that we just couldn't go, so they just kept moving, and of course, like you said earlier, crime doesn't stop, so we kept having more cases come in. Now, COVID did allow numbers to slightly reduce for your typical burglaries and larcenies and that sort of instance.
Everybody's in home, they're not out on the streets breaking into things.
Right. But there was a lot of DUIs and a lot of domestic violence.
Yeah.
And drug use.
What I would argue is, well, none of it's good, but I would argue is a little worse than someone breaking your home. That you can replace stuff.
Right.
You can't replace people. But that's another argument for another day. But yeah, this is what we're dealing with now. And we're
still feeling those repercussions.
Yeah.
And it's probably take another couple years to really get through the backlog of what was caused by COVID.
I want to ask y'all's opinions, just because we're right now in the legislative session. If you guys had a wish list or things that you could say, please address these, what would be just even the one seed? Like, I'm sure there's a laundry list, but like the top one, something that they said, if y'all did nothing else this next 60 days, please do this for us. What is there anything that you?
I would get rid of the catch and release system from the quote unquote bail reform that we had. I mean, it's and I don't want to go on a whole diatribe about it, but
sure.
I mean, it's essentially become a catch and release system. I mean, for us to try to get people, that may be dangerous, the courts have basically said no. And the legislature has said you have to do this process in order to have someone be held pending trial.
Right.
We have to go through what's called a pretrial detention. I have to file a motion and I have to basically put on a mini trial in front of the judge in order for a guy to get held.
Really?
And they don't look at it as he's a flight risk. they're like, that can go to it, but what matters is he a danger to the community? Well, I mean, we have the case law, and judges have literally allowed people out that were charged with homicide.
Yeah, that's
with murder.
Crazy. Yes.
And basically saying, oh, there's a more least restrictive means because this person has no criminal history. We can put a GPS monitor on and let it go out because it's not.
Yeah, but can you stop the punch in time or whatever
Right.
that person did? No.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the problem.
You can when they're in jail.
Right. And then,
You
of course,
can't
if
when
I
they're-
ask for a secured bond on something, I have to give good reason for it.
Yeah.
And most of the time, people, they post bond or a judge gives them OR bond because that's what they have to do based off of the legislature and the Supreme Court. And next thing I know, that person's reoffending, and I gotta, we have multiple defendants who have multiple cases because they get arrested, they get charged, they go out and do something again, and they're like, oh, that's all right. I mean, sometimes I remember
There's no repercussions really
Right,
at the end of the
right.
day. There really isn't.
Right. They're like, oh, I'll be out tomorrow.
Yeah.
Whatever. Or a couple days.
There's one that's the name we will not mention, but it's in both of our heads. Has had 3 felon in possession charges, including one with drugs. The 4th offense is a pending murder.
Holy mackerel!
So there's 4 felon in possession crimes that this
And you're like, if
individual
Possession of a firearm. So
If
so
we
that's
did,
not,
if we
if that's not
did what we're
clear.
supposed to do to this guy the first time, there wouldn't have been a murder the 4th time. You
Right,
know,
'cause
and
it's
that's
already
even a third time.
Yeah,
for crying out
exactly.
loud.
Already a convicted felon found with a firearm and constantly do it.
Yeah.
And we do pretrial detention hearings on. They're like, no, it's
And then
not
you
a danger.
And then we go back to the question at the beginning: why are you having trouble keeping prosecutors in the courts?
Well, and they
attorneys?
get burned out.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
especially
Why
the
do you
big-
want to do that? Why beat your head against the wall knowing that full well your work is probably going to be for naught?
And of course, it's a thankless job too.
Yeah.
I mean, the vast majority of the time, most people don't end up happy with my office.
Sure.
What they, and I don't mean to sound that way,
Sure.
but it's like the brunt of anger that comes from people is not at law
They
enforcement.
wanted you to do
It's-
more. You did too much.
Right. Exactly.
You didn't do enough for the victim.
And then I talk about case law, and they're like, "Oh, well, you don't care about it." And I'm like, "No, I legally can't do anything.
Yeah.
I can try to fight for a stronger sentence, that sort of
This
stuff.
is that part where I had to go to law school for and get my,
Right.
know and understand and interpret
and have
the
a
law.
ton of debt for.
Yeah.
But he is, and his team, they are the voices of the victims.
Absolutely.
And that's one of the other things.
That's what I was going to say. I was about to finish off. Thank God they're there, and thank God.
Yes.
And please tell this to every one of your deputy attorneys that it's a thankless job, but me and the silent majority are very, very thankful that those folks are doing their job every day. Because sure, it's not perfect, but it's the best we got, and it's
Right.
and it's the we talk about the thin blue line in law enforcement. It's the thin line in the legal world of chaos versus law and order. So
an area that I would like to see us addressed deals with mental health and competency and then dangerousness.
Yes.
This is another struggle these guys fight with. I mean, there's been some type of evaluation and a quote expert. Sorry, that was a philosophical. Determines that this individual is not competent. So they get released unless these guys can prove dangerousness, which is another trial, essentially.
Essentially, yeah. And it has to fit a statute specifically, and if it doesn't, it...
And 2 of the recent fatalities in this area involved individuals who were released and within hours had engaged in behavior which resulted in their death.
Wow.
Which is sad, because, I mean, it's
like it could have been avoided. However,
yes,
according to the law right now, we couldn't do anything about it.
Right.
And,
So it's
whether
a
the
catch-22.
action
It is.
taken
It
by
is
the
a
other
catch-22.
Yeah.
whether the actions taken by the other parties are appropriate or not is outside of what we're not going to discuss right now. But that just struck me as being incredibly frustrating that these individuals who are now deceased were not helped by the system, and there's countless others. That the whole mental health and the failure to be able to push these people into a treatment. they don't necessarily need to be in jail. They need to be in a treatment program because we've got,
and that's nationally. That's something we as a country need to figure out. That's not just a New Mexico thing.
But it's
that's
incredibly bad here.
Yes, it is.
Like misdemeanors. If you're not competent, there's an individual whose name is in my head. You should see the number of cases it goes on by the.
But none of them are inherently dangerous, or
none of them are dangerous.
So
this continuous things like public nudity or defecating or harassing people. They're all misdemeanors, but bam, he's not competent, and so.
And this is where we need our
street.
legislator do like we just legalized cannabis and all of that here. Okay, well let's glass half full it and say, well, how come we can't? All right, then I don't care what, because I imagine there's a great amount of money that comes in off cannabis. We'll take an X percentage and say, okay, every dollar that comes in, that's going towards mental health research facilities, treating whatever it is, kind of like the scholarship for the lottery. You buy a lottery, you get.
I do believe the statute has money going to school systems.
But I mean, why aren't we throwing truckloads of money into mental health?
He can't compel. See, the person who commits the offense, not competent, but they're not, quote, dangerous, for Hunter or one of the other assistants to be able to get him compelled is a high hurdle in this state. These people should be, there's Kendra's law out of New York State.
Yeah.
It goes way back, and it dealt with an individual who was pushed in front of a subway train 30 years ago by a crazy guy in New York. She's killed. So they have this compulsory outpatient treatment, not inpatient, but outpatient.
Sure.
We don't really have, we have a Kendra's law light. And that was one of the battles I unsuccessfully fought when I was in the legislature.
And to really get into that problem, it's a multi-tier. It's not just law enforcement and the league and the lawyers and the justice system to come up with a solution. It's got to start at the families at home. It's got to start. It's even in law enforcement. When we talk about dealing with someone, maybe there's something in the training. We say, okay, they don't go to jail. We take them to a different place where they can get some real help here, or and I know that's voluntarily, but maybe we need to, if someone's not competent to make a decision, like we've deemed them not fit to make another decision, why do we deem them fit to say you don't get to go to that thing? Or it's like a voluntary. Wait a minute, we've just determined you can't tie your own shoes, but we're going to let you make a decision whether you should be in this hospital or not.
And there is such a process called involuntary.
Commitment.
There we go. I was losing the word. Involuntary commitment, but that's a civil action that we can do. But that's only after we've taken all the other steps.
Well, that's what I'm saying. We need to put some more teeth in that kind of stuff.
And they're only there for a limited amount of time.
Yeah.
So they send them off to the hospital.
On the converse side, they need a real place to go, not just a place with some walls till they calm down and send them out of there. Yeah. They need a place where they're getting real help, and that's where the money needs to come in.
We need more mental health outpatient and inpatient treatment.
And things in there, not wardens.
Or even to get them at least back to competency in the sense where we could go forward with cases.
Sure.
Because and that's a big thing is, one of the hard parts of our job is trying to tell a victim, it's like, look, we can't prosecute this case because he's, mentally incapacitated, and they're like, so am I just out of that money? Or if they're stolen, or does that mean he'll never go to jail or whatever? And it's like, yeah, that's basically what that means.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, what can we do about it? And, and I'm like, vote.
Yeah.
Well, that's just it. We don't want to lock up mental health people that truly need help, but at the same time, we don't want to give mental health patients a green light to do whatever the heck they want and just say, "Oh, I'm the mental health problem."
Right?
Sorry, you don't get that pass either.
And other states do things like have a mental health treatment docket sort of thing, where it's like their case stays in the court system while they're going to inpatient or outpatient treatment, and it just kind of keeps going, and then it has to come to a natural fruition. I would love to see something like that here, but it needs a lot of money, and you'd have to get support from the state legislature. You have to get the courts on board. It's going to add a whole bunch of additional resources. We need hospitals and other outpatient treatments to be willing to do it, have the people necessary. And the problem is, of course, and this, Southeast New Mexico is hurting for people. Unless you're in the oil field industry. It's the only place where they can apparently get people to work.
Yeah, well, you don't need any kind of college, and they're paying you, not
Right.
quite lawyer money, but pretty good money.
Pretty good money, yeah.
I don't know, some people make more than we do.
He's like, I should get in the oil and gas industry. I waste my time in this law school thing. But just kidding.
The last thing I'd like to make a pitch for is, and Hunter and I talked a little bit about this, there are no perfect cases that go to trial.
Right.
The perfect cases plead out.
Yeah.
The ones that go to trial, these guys they've got to climb that hill. And
Sure.
The defense has made a decision. They want to roll the dice. And all they got to do is plant a seed. He's got to build this case with witnesses and words, and it's tough.
Yeah.
And not every case is Perry Mason. It doesn't wrap up in an hour and get a nice clean. But matter of fact, that never happens. And if it does happen, then you need to make a Netflix documentary out of it because that's as rare as the stuff that comes on there.
And like you said, it's incredibly rare for a perfect case to even come about, A.
Yeah.
And B, they do a lot of times end up in a plea. Of course, to kind of my caveat with that would be a lot of imperfect cases where our evidence is really lacking, or it's there's the potential that this person could walk if it went to a jury is another reason why we'll do a plea. You see that a lot.
Sure.
And people sometimes say, well, why is this homicide, taken from first degree to second degree or second degree down to voluntary manslaughter or what have you?
Based on what we can prove and what we can get prosecuted.
Right. And sometimes there may be probable cause at the initial inset of first degree homicide, second degree, second degree murder, that sort of thing. But when you get into the weeds of it and you start going down, it just...
I'm just gee whiz curious, and we're out of time almost, but I'm just gee whiz curious. How often does a case happen where new evidence comes to light during the trial? Does that ever happen, or is that just a TV thing?
It's a TV thing. And I've had to say this to people, I don't know how many times. Being a prosecutor and court system is not like Law and Order. Don't get me wrong. I like watching Law and Order.
Sure, it's very entertaining.
It's entertaining.
You might be like, I'm a lawyer because I love watching them shows.
That's not real life.
Yeah. I'm just curious. I was just like, does that ever happen?
So my phrase to Hunter is that if he is surprised in the courtroom, I didn't do my job.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense.
Right, and I should, and if you're surprised in the courtroom, either I'm not doing my job effectively too, to make sure we're digging in appropriately or
again, like you have the experience here. Gee whiz curious. Does that more often happen to the defense attorney or to the prosecutor that you get those kind of surprises? I'm thinking it's the defense attorney because I'm guessing their client forego to mention some piece of information that turns up later. I mean, I imagine you have less of that.
I feel like that's a question for another day because I could really go into.
I just feel like you might have a little less of that than a defense attorney, but I could be wrong on that.
It depends.
Okay.
And like everything, there's shades of gray there.
Sure.
But I would say typically I think probably a defense attorney gets that more, but realistically in New Mexico, we give them everything. So realistically, unless their defendant is lying to them.
Or they don't bother to read discovery.
Or they don't read everything or listen to everything, then maybe they'll be surprised.
Okay.
But
I just feel like the defense attorney's got to be dealing with lying clients way more than... It's like... I'm just not judging here, but...
Well, they're criminals.
Right! That's my point. Criminals lie and do stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's kind of in the description.
And of course, jury trials especially are is chess, not checkers, so it's all about moves and counter moves.
Yeah.
And sometimes you want to keep pieces of evidence out and let other things come in. And so sometimes a defense attorney may be surprised when we don't call a certain witness.
Mm-hmm.
That's about probably as surprised as I think typically they'll get, is when I say, no, strategically, evidentiary-wise, it's bad for me to call this person.
Sure.
So, and I'm not one of those attorneys. I don't want to hide the ball.
Right.
I don't. I'm very straightforward, but if someone is
but you're not going to expose your weaknesses either.
Or I'm not going to open myself up to have a whole bunch of hearsay and evidence that should not typically come into trial be allowed that is beneficial to the defendant.
Yeah. If you're like, if this isn't getting my end game what I'm trying to do, then I'm not going to go that angle. The defense may try to use it as an attack point, but I'm sure not going to put it out there for them.
And one of the challenges the prosecutors really have is, like I talked about, building the case, but you can overwhelm a jury with all kinds of minutia.
Sure.
So he's got to make the call. All right, I got to make this pare this down so I get all the right points in
simplest
without overwhelming them, and they get brain dead.
Well, that's
from
when the
listening.
devil in the details. You know, I have a little experience serving on juries, and I've done a couple. So yeah, the more details, and the more deliberating, and the more, and then when things get muddy, that's when they go from without a doubt to some doubt in there.
Well, that's why that's a defense attorney's job, right?
Yeah.
We're trying to paint a picture. They're trying to throw mud on it the whole time, or black paint, or whatever metaphor you want to use.
You're kind of keeping it's like, here's the least common denominator. This person was here, did this, and here, and this is what they're being accused of. The defense is kind of saying, yeah, but they did it because of this, and maybe it wasn't them. Maybe it was a bird, or what? You know what I mean? That's their job to throw in that stuff.
The alien.
Yeah, the man in the green jacket.
Yeah.
But, whatever. So, but I understand what you're saying and appreciate. First off, we're out of time, but I know you got a huge workload, so I do appreciate you guys coming and spending.
Thank you for having
some
me.
time, and love to have you back. And I'm sure Dennis is the keeper of who gets on the radio, so you got to butter him up.
I have to go with beg. Please, who wants? I can't today. I can't today.
Well, this was face it, like you said. They're like, hey, I know you got 200 cases sitting on your thing.
Yeah.
Can you come hang out on the radio for an hour?
Yeah, exactly.
I do appreciate that.
Yeah.
At 9 o'clock in the morning, when, by the way, this is when I actually get some work done.
Yeah. There is that.
Luckily, you kept me out of court this morning. I got other people to cover my cases, so that's
Well, you're welcome. Now don't make them take you to lunch. But thank you, guys. Thank you for both of you for what you do. We do appreciate, even the days that you feel like you're spinning your wheels on this. We do appreciate that, especially on those days where you guys feel like you're spinning your wheels and not making a difference. We all know you are, and we do appreciate it. So
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Means a lot.
Guys.
Thanks.
All right, it is 9:56. I got to play 3 commercials because I don't get to eat lunch unless these air. So I'm going to play them so I can eat lunch because I'm fat and I need lunch. We'll be back. Don't go away.
Here to help you breathe easy. That's what you can expect from Artesia General Hospital's cardiopulmonary and respiratory therapy team, both literally and figuratively. From innovative treatments for lung cancer and COVID-19 to management for everyday breathing problems like asthma and bronchitis, our care for acute and chronic conditions is unmatched in Southeast New Mexico, and the compassion of our caregivers offers peace of mind with each visit. Get the help you need for chronic respiratory conditions. Call 575-748-3333 or visit artesiageneral.com/respiratory.
Using locally owned and operated Zenith Security Services gets you service after the sale, quick turnaround time, security systems tailored to your needs, an actual person when you call, and you're investing in your community. Zenith Security has provided security solutions for southeastern New Mexico since 1998, and we care about our community. When you have security needs, remember, give the locals a shot and call Zenith Security Services at 575-626-3521.
Listen, you want a pizza? You can get one of those anywhere. But if you want authentic, traditional brick oven style pizza, forget about it. There's only one place in town, our Pizza Center in Roswell. I'm talking about authentic pies using authentic ingredients, plus pasta, salads, wings, subs, burgers, and a whole menu chock full of your favorites. You can dine in or have it delivered up to 5 miles. Open Monday through Saturday, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. at 505 North Main in Roswell, or check out RoswellPizzaCenter.com. And hey, mention you heard it on the radio and buy one pizza, get one free. Our Pizza Center, a taste of the old world, right here.
Here's a Mornings with Mike Winters fun fact. The U.S. Treasury once considered producing donut-shaped coins. They instead decided to go with coin-shaped donuts. Here's Mike Winters.
And good morning. It is closing in on 9:59. If you missed any part of our show, I invite you to check it out at your leisure. We have this on-demand thing, which can get you in trouble if you say things you're not supposed to, because then people look it up and they're like, you said it. No, I didn't. There it is. Oh, that was another kid, sir. That wasn't me. But anyway, it's on demand. You can check it out anytime. Log on to ksvptv.com. Click on the Mornings with Mike Winters channel. Here in just a few minutes after the show, Roy will actually pull and separate the interviews from the main show, and you can just watch those if you want. We had Congresswoman Teresa Ledger Fernandez join us on the phone in the 7 o'clock hour. She's in town for a few days visiting some of our ranchers and things. You're either happy or not happy about that. I leave that up to you. We had Juanita Jennings and Steve Garcia join us in the 8 o'clock hour, talking a little bit about Leadership New Mexico and all of what they do. And then, of course, we just had Dennison Hunter from the DA's office this hour join us. Again, catch all of those interviews at your leisure, ksvptv.com, or on our 106.5 Roswell's Talk FM Facebook wall. And we used to be on YouTube, and now they reserved that to sports. They said, our sports have great numbers, and your stupid show's slogging it down, so we're pulling it. So you only can go to our other show. All right, that's going to do it for us. Have a great day. You're listening to 106.5 Roswell's Talk FM, KEND, Roswell, New Mexico. We'll see you bright and early tomorrow morning. Take care.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm John Scott. The Treasury Department says it has started taking extraordinary measures as the government is reaching its legal borrowing capacity of $38.381 trillion. The department sent a letter to congressional leaders to that effect. Frictions between President Biden and House Republicans are raising alarms about whether the U.S. can sidestep a potential economic crisis. A majority of President Biden's own party joins most Americans now in favoring a congressional investigation into his handling of classified documents. Bob Agnew reports.
52% of Democrats responding to a Yahoo News YouGov poll say they favor a congressional investigation. Only 27% of Democrats say they're opposed. Overall, 64% of U.S. adults favor the investigation. A mere 16% are opposed. Newly empowered